Chapter 1205. A pair of black divine metal gloves appeared on Wang Yang's hands. He clenched them into fists and shouted a war cry as he stood up and punched. This punch was Wang Yang's signature killing move. When he punched, 18 pillars of fire burst out from behind him, looking like they wanted to shatter the sky. However, this punch that Wang Yang placed his hopes on failed to gain an overwhelming advantage, knocking back Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin executed the Thunder Dragon Chop. He took 12 steps. With each step, 1,000 purple lightning dragons shot out from under his feet, baring their fangs and roaring ferociously. By the time Xiao Qin finished his 12 steps, more than 10,000 lightning dragons had gathered behind him. The huge scene of 10,000 dragons soaring in the air pressed down on Wang Yang. At the start, Wang Yang had put on airs and refused to stand up. By the time he stood up, he discovered that he had already lost the initiative against Xiao Qin, whose aura had erupted. There was a price to pay for putting on airs. Bang! The saber light and the fist light clashed. Countless cracks immediately appeared under the two's feet. The entire vast plaza instantly crumbled. Dust flew everywhere, and all the buildings in the square were instantly blown to smithereens. Blood leaked out of a corner of Wang Yang's lips. Xiao Qin's tyrannical saber strike pressed his body into the ground. Horror flashed in Wang Yang's eyes. He discovered that his greatest advantage in cultivation was useless against Xiao Qin. For some reason, Xiao Qin, who was only a great perfection blue-robed emperor, actually had a will of thunder that reached the peak, even higher than Wang Yang's. Xiao Qin's saber soul had even reached 60% comprehension. This was incredible. Without giving Wang Yang any time to think, Xiao Qin took the initiative and gained the upper hand. Then, he executed the 1,000-year hegemony establishment again. The densely packed city looked like a banner. As Xiao Qin stood on the imperial capital, he swung his saber and materialized an immortal dynasty with the tyranny of kingship. The saber light contained the luck of a dynasty for 1,000 years. When the will of thunder reached its peak, Xiao Qin gained a new comprehension of the 1,000-year hegemony establishment. Every time he executed it, it was much better than the previous time. Standing on the imperial city, one figure after another appeared amidst the mysterious phenomena. They knelt in all directions and called out loudly, "Long live our emperor, the Azure Dragon King." Throughout the ages, the dynasty would not be destroyed. The heart of a king would always be domineering. This saber strike displayed the domineering aura of a king whose heart was higher than the sky and who looked down on all outstanding talents, giving off an overwhelming aura. I don't care if you are a half-step Emperor Wu, you have to kneel on the ground. This peerlessly tyrannical saber strike shocked everyone. No one expected Xiao Qin to erupt with such a startling medial-grade profound martial technique. As a great perfection blue-robed emperor, it was already not easy for him to use a medial-grade profound martial technique as a killing move. However, now, not only did Xiao Qin execute it proficiently, but he even managed to integrate it and reach small perfection. This was simply unbelievable. This white-robed bladesman's talent was too strong and demonic. With this saber strike, Wang Yang, who was already at a disadvantage, no longer had any thoughts of fighting back. He just defended with all his might. Wang Yang drove the vast heavenly laws. Because he drove the power of the world too frequently, the surrounding scenery spun continuously. Of course, the world did not truly spin. It was just that the power of the world was too vast, giving off a mysterious phenomenon of the world spinning. Of course, the world wasn't really rotating. It was just that the power of the world was too great, causing people to feel as if the world was spinning. When the crowd discovered the real scene, Wang Yang condensed a thick wall of flames in front of him. The dense flames turned into solid divine flame bricks, piling together and forming a thick and dense wall. The dense flames transformed into numerous seemingly solid fiery bricks that piled up together to form a thick and condensed wall. The dense flames turned into solid divine flame bricks, piling up together and forming a thick and dense wall. After Xiao Qin executed the 1,000-year hegemony establishment and condensed the luck of a dynasty, he brought out the full strength of Wang Yang's half-step Emperor Wu. However, it was useless. Wang Yang lost the initiative and lost all momentum. After Shao Chen executed the 1,000-year hegemony establishment and condensed the luck of a dynasty, the defensive move that Wang Yang executed could not block this horrifying saber strike. Wang Yangsong's defensive move could not block this peerlessly terrifying blade. The sound of "Long live" shook the heavens and the earth. When the blade fell, it instantly cut through the divine wall of fire. With a cracking sound, the light of the saber cut through the divine wall of flames and fell slowly towards Wang Yang. Wang Yang's face filled with horror. He had not expected that after Shao Chen seized the initiative, the medial-grade martial technique he executed would be so horrifying. Bang! When the divine flame wall was completely chopped in half, the saber strike knocked Wang Yang back. The armor on his chest shattered, and he vomited a large mouthful of blood. When he landed, his hair was disheveled, looking very miserable. In just a short 3 moves, Shao Chen, who seized the initiative, put Wang Yang at a disadvantage. These 3 moves boosted Shao Chen's confidence. The seemingly undefeatable half-step Emperor Wu was not as horrifying as the rumors made him out to be. At the very least, this Wang Yang before Shao Chen was only SOSO. Without a medial-grade profound martial technique or a profound cultivation technique, just by relying on his strong cultivation, there was nothing to fear. Of course, Shao Chen was not overly arrogant. For such a half-step Emperor Wu, as long as he did not deal a fatal blow, it would be very difficult to severely injure him. Not only was the other party the blue-robed emperor who merged his soul with the heavenly seal, but he also survived the great tribulation of wind and fire. The resilience of his life force was terrifyingly strong. Shao Chen wanted to test his combat prowess, to see where the limits of his combat prowess were. After sending Wang Yang flying with 1 saber strike, Shao Chen did not charge over. Instead, he stopped and looked coldly to the front. Half-step Emperor Wu, you are only SOSO. Today, I will let you accept your defeat wholeheartedly, giving you a chance to catch your breath. The moment Shao Chen said this, everyone was stunned. This white-robed bladesman was really arrogant. How arrogant! Your strength is indeed unexpectedly strong. However, if you want to defeat me like this, it is far from enough. Even the great tribulation of wind and fire on the Emperor's road could not finish me off. You definitely cannot kill me either. Wang Yang's hair fluttered in the wind with a sinister expression, looking like a clump of blazing flames. Shao Chen stood upright while holding his saber. He said indifferently, "Is that so? Let's see how long you can last." Giving the other party a chance to catch his breath, Shao Chen did not hesitate to execute Thunder Dragon steps and quickly clashed with Wang Yang again. At this moment, Wang Yang no longer held back. His vast law energy materialized a boundless flame as he moved his fist and palm. With every punch and palm strike, Wang Yang kicked up a huge wave. The flame was like a pillar, burning through the sky. Shao Chen materialized his flawless saber Dao and materialized the blue dragon battle armor. His body merged with his saber, clashing intensely with the other party amid the thousands of bolts of lightning. By relying on the strong blue dragon battle armor, Shao Chen's physical body surpassed the other party's by a significant margin. As they clashed head-on, Shao Chen relied on his skills with the saber and his strong physical body. In this tug-of-war, Shao Chen actually managed to slowly shift the advantage back to his side. 2 figures flickered endlessly in the sky, exchanging blows until the sky turned dark and the ground spun around. The horrifying, mysterious phenomena accompanied the lightning and flames made it impossible to see the situation inside. The originally confident Wang clan's people now felt very nervous as they stared at the battle in the sky. However, they were unable to see anything amidst the chaos. This caused the group of people to feel even more apprehensive. Whoosh! Suddenly, a fiery light shot out from the chaotic, mysterious phenomena, heading into the distance like a sharp arrow. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared from Scorching Flame Island's perimeter. Its speed was incredible. That is Wang Yang's flowing light flying flame evasion. Damn! Wang Yang actually ran away. It seemed like Wang Yang's evasion technique was very famous. When the group saw that lightning-like flame, they recognized it and were flabbergasted. The overlord of Scorching Flame Island, the half-step Emperor Wu, Wang Yang, was forced to flee by this white-robed bladesman of unknown origins. The lightning and flames slowly scattered. As Xiao Chen watched the half-step Emperor Wu Wang Yang leave, he could not do anything. The other party was a half-step Emperor Wu, and he was determined to flee. With Xiao Chen's current strength, it would be hard for him to keep the other party here. However, with such a result, it was enough to shake the world. A great perfection blue-robed emperor scared away a half-step Emperor Wu. Such news would soon spread throughout the entire northern demonic sea. The Wang clan's people below paled. They had not expected Wang Yang to abandon them and flee. After they reacted, they cried out and quickly scattered. Xiao Chen swept his gaze around and fixed it on Wang Feng. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Wang Feng had already made it very clear that if there was a problem, Wang Feng should take it out on him. In the end, Wang Feng even dragged the entire Su clan into this. Such a person deserved to be killed. Xiao Chen's figure flashed. He did not care about anyone else, taking the lead to block this person. When Wang Feng saw Xiao Chen in front, he was startled and immediately turned to flee. However, no matter how fast Wang Feng was, how could he be faster than Xiao Chen, who had already reached great perfection with the Thunder Dragon steps? An electric figure shot out from under Wang Feng's feet. With a flash, Xiao Chen blocked Wang Feng again. This repeated a few times until Wang Feng was on the verge of collapsing. He sank into madness. "I'll fight it out with you." Xiao Chen remained expressionless, cold and silent. He was like an emotionless machine as he drew his saber precisely. Using his flawless saber Dao, he slaughtered Wang Feng. After 10 moves, Xiao Chen chopped off Wang Feng's head with one saber strike. When Xiao Chen looked back, the entire plaza was in chaos. The Wang clan's cultivators had all vanished, fleeing quickly. However, after this battle, the Wang family's foundation and prestige could be said to have been completely scattered. They wanted to rebuild it. If they wanted to rebuild themselves, aside from defeating Xiao Chen, there was no other way. However, Wang Yang, who had already fled, probably would not have the courage to return. After arriving before the Su clan's clan head, Su Tianhe, Xiao Chen handed over some medicinal pills for treating injuries that he obtained from the Thunder King's inheritance. He said, "Sorry for implicating you in the end. Here are some peak-quality king-grade medicinal pills. They should be able to heal your injuries quickly." The Su clan's direct bloodline descendants and elders were all severely injured. Otherwise, they would not have been tied up with ropes. With Xiao Chen's medicinal pills, recovering quickly would not be a problem. Su Tianhe asked, "Did you obtain the Thunder King's inheritance?" Chapter 1206. Xiao Chen understood the other party's meaning. He nodded and said, "I have indeed obtained it. However, don't worry. I will remain on Scorching Flame Island for some time. I will leave after the Su clan stabilizes its situation." After obtaining this promise, Su Tianhe finally revealed a smile on his face. After 3 days, the Su clan controlled the entire Scorching Flame City. The Su clan's clan head, Su Tianhe, was rather capable. Of course, the main reason was still Xiao Chen's tyranny. He had severely injured Wang Yang, the spiritual leader of the Wang clan, and forced him to flee. This had caused the Wang clan's people to lose their fighting spirit. After that, Xiao Chen killed the consummation blue-robed emperor in 10 saber strikes, frightening the group of Wang clan elders. Xiao Chen occasionally made a move, crippling the cultivation of some of the stubborn Wang clan elders. The entire situation stabilized. In merely 3 days, Xiao Chen allowed the Su clan to regain its position as the overlord of Scorching Flame Island. With a flip of his hand, he toppled a large clan. Furthermore, the name of the white-robed bladesman spread throughout the entire northern Demon Sea after that startling battle that day. The news of a great perfection blue-robed emperor forcing back a half-step Emperor Wu spread throughout the archipelago of the northern Demon Sea. Since ancient times, not many people had managed to do such a thing. At the very least, the human Demon Sea had not heard of such a thing in the past several thousand years. Several people even secretly compared Xiao Chen to the 10 outstanding talents of the human Demon Sea. As for Xiao Chen's true identity, there were many different opinions as well. No matter where this fellow goes, his glory cannot be hidden. When Dugueo heard the news in the Dugu clan's castle, he was stunned for a moment. Then he knew that this white-robed bladesman had to be Xiao Qin, so he did not find it strange. Back in the 8-star dragon grave, Dugueo already knew of Xiao Qin's strength. At that time, Xiao Qin could already fight a regular half-step Emperor Wu to a draw. With his talent and the speed of his improvement, defeating an unknown half-step Emperor Wu wasn't too surprising. As for comparing Xiao Qin to the 10 outstanding talents, Dugueo scoffed at it and dismissed it with a laugh. The 10 outstanding talents of the human demon sea were all in their 40s, more than 10 years older than Xiao Qin. There was no comparison at all. Even so, Dugueo insisted that only the top 5 of the 10 outstanding talents could hold their own against Xiao Qin. The others who were ranked at the bottom would not be a match for Xiao Qin. If they underestimated Xiao Qin, they would lose miserably. "Young master, Miss Mu Xian is here. She is looking for you in the hall." Dugueo, who was deep in thought, was interrupted by a servant. However, when he heard what the servant said, he withdrew his unhappy expression. "You can leave now." "I understand." Dugueo muttered. "Why is she here? Is she here for the human demon paradise?" On Scorching Flame Island, Xiao Qin cultivated alone in the quiet courtyard that Su Tianhe arranged for him. After the Su clan stabilized the situation on Scorching Flame Island, Xiao Qin did not leave in a rush. On one hand, he wanted to wait for the injured Wang Yang to charge back and deal with him. On the other hand, he wanted to stabilize his strength. It had to be said that the greatest wealth of the Thunder King's inheritance, the innate Thunder Crystal, gave Xiao Qin too much help. The innate Thunder Crystal directly raised Xiao Qin's will of thunder to peak consummation. Furthermore, the form of the will of thunder became even more divine. Now that Xiao Qin took it out by itself, if an ordinary person saw it, they would not be able to tell that it was a form of the will of thunder. Xiao Qin continued to absorb the energy in the innate Thunder Crystal. After another 7 days, he felt that his will of thunder had reached its limit, reaching a point where it could no longer be improved. The Thunder King's innate Thunder Crystal had also shrunk significantly. Xiao Qin could clearly feel the soul of thunder swimming in it through the purple crystal. Xiao Qin knew that this was a sign that his will of thunder had reached its limit and could no longer be improved. If it improved further, it would break through to the innate Thunder Crystal. However, with his current cultivation, forcibly absorbing Sang Mu's innate Thunder Crystal and making a breakthrough would be too dangerous. After all, not many people under Emperor Wu could break through to the innate Thunder Crystal. This was a qualitative change in turning something illusory into something solid. After comprehending the innate Thunder Crystal, one could control the power of true lightning and many other mysterious changes. The instant one turned illusory into something solid, one's entire body and soul would undergo a baptism of lightning. Right now, Xiao Qin was only a great perfection blue-robed emperor. Even with Sang Mu's innate Thunder Crystal, he did not dare to try it rashly. At this stage, if Xiao Qin wanted to raise his combat prowess, he could only think of a way to raise his saber soul to 60% comprehension. However, Xiao Qin's saber soul already reached 60% comprehension. Furthermore, he had only broken through recently. If he wanted to make another breakthrough, it would not be easy. Based on a regular blue-robed emperor's cultivation, the current Xiao Qin was already at a bottleneck in all aspects of the blue-robed emperor stage. What Xiao Qin needed to do next was to cultivate quietly and merge the soul in his sea of consciousness with the heavenly seal, forming the vague form of the heart of an emperor. If Xiao Qin did not have a fortuitous encounter and did not have sufficient comprehension ability, he would be stuck at this stage forever, never knowing how to merge the soul with the heavenly seal. If Xiao Qin's comprehension ability was sufficient, he only needed to wait quietly at this stage for a few years. Perhaps in 2 or 3 years, or even decades, he would naturally understand the mysteries of the consummation blue-robed emperor that could only be understood but not explained. Xiao Qin definitely had sufficient comprehension ability. However, he did not have that much time to wait. He could not even wait for 2 or 3 years. It had already been more than a year since he advanced to Martial Emperor in 5 years. He did not have much time left. Xiao Chen needed to condense a heart of an emperor in advance and overtake others, skipping the 2 or 3 years of waiting to advance to consummation blue-robed emperor. In short, Xiao Chen needed the flower of life, urgently. Outside the secluded courtyard, there was a series of footsteps that kept pacing back and forth, coming and going. Xiao Chen put away the essence stone in his hand and stopped the heavenly seal from absorbing spiritual energy. Then, he opened his eyes and checked with his spiritual sense. He saw Su Tianyun standing outside the courtyard, hesitating on whether to enter or not. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen roughly guessed why the other party was here. Now that everything in the city was settled, what else did the other party have to worry about? Naturally, it was the Wang clan's half-step Emperor Wu, Wang Yang, who was still alive. "Old Mr. Su, if you have anything to say, come in and speak." Xiao Chen stood up and sent a voice projection. Then he walked out and received the other party in the courtyard. When Su Tianyun saw Xiao Chen, he appeared somewhat hesitant and excited. He did not know what to say. After thinking for a while, he asked, "Young Master Xiao, when do you intend to leave?" 3 days at the latest, or daybreak at the fastest." "So fast?" Su Tianyun exclaimed in shock, clearly surprised. Xiao Chen said calmly, "I know what you are worried about. Is it about Wang Yang?" When Su Tianyun heard that, he heaved a sigh of relief. Since Xiao Chen guessed it, there was no need to hide it. "I do not know what to do either. I know that I cannot beg young Master Xiao to remain on Scorching Flame Island. However, if young Master Xiao leaves, Wang Yang can make a comeback at any time." Xiao Chen smiled and said, "Given your strength, you can be considered a peak consummation blue-robed emperor. If I give you a divine weapon or an emperor-grade secret treasure, you should not fear Wang Yang, right?" When Su Tianyun heard that, joy flashed on his face. However, he immediately felt incredulous. A divine weapon or an emperor-grade secret treasure was extremely precious. Even the 9 ranks of the great families were only that much. "Of course, there are additional conditions for me to give you a divine weapon or an emperor-grade secret treasure. Truth be told, my true identity is the Blue Dragon King personally appointed by the Prime of the Bushin Palace, the Thunder King." Xiao Chen slowly said the words that he had prepared long ago. "I am the descendant of the Qing Emperor and have my own conferred land in the heavenly starry ocean. If you are willing to accept the divine weapon, then this Scorching Flame Island will be my overseas conferred land, under my jurisdiction." After a pause, Xiao Chen continued, "If you are unwilling, I can only advise you to give up on Scorching Flame Island. I will personally escort your Su clan out of this place and find a place for you to settle down in the northern Demon Sea. You should know that the weak are prey to the strong. Even if I help you kill Wang Yang, I won't be able to protect you. You don't have the strength yourself, and if you occupy such a large land of resources, there will definitely be other forces that have designs on you." These words contained too much information, causing Su Tianyun to sink into deep thought. Should he agree or not? Su Tianyun seemed to be in a dilemma. If he agreed, it would be equivalent to surrendering the entire Su clan to Xiao Chen. If he did not agree, it would be as Xiao Chen said. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, the Su clan would not be able to occupy Scorching Flame Island with its current strength. This placed him in a difficult position, not knowing how to make a decision. Xiao Chen did not force the other party. He did not care. There were not many divine weapons or emperor-grade secret treasures in the Thunder King's inheritance. Giving up even one would cause heartache. Xiao Chen had already done all he could, not letting the Su clan down. The choice would depend on the other party. If Su Tianyun agreed, he could use the value of one divine weapon to expand his overseas conferred land. That would not be a loss. In the future, Kim Taeho's Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce could expand to the Human Demon Sea and develop quickly. Xiao Chen said calmly, "Mr. Su, there is no need to rush to answer me. Tell me after you have thought it through. I will not leave before daybreak." "Wait a moment." Su Tianyun called out to Xiao Chen, who was turning around. "Young Master Xiao, I agree." Xiao Chen turned around and asked, "You've thought it through?" Determination flashed on Su Tianyun's face. He nodded heavily and said, "I've thought it through. I believe that young Master Xiao is a trustworthy person." Xiao Chen waved his hand and said, "There is no need to say that. I'm not a good person. You have seen my means. However, I do things in an open and above-board manner. I will not beat around the bush. You can rest assured about that." Xiao Chen thought for a while. Among the Thunder King's inheritance, there was only one set of divine weapons, the 7 deadly sins. It was a set of sabers. It would be difficult for a single person to bring out its full might. In that case, Xiao Chen could only give an Emperor-grade secret treasure. There were not many Emperor-grade secret treasures in the Thunder King's treasure trove, only 4. However, every one of them was not an ordinary Emperor-grade secret treasure. After verifying it, Xiao Chen took out a scarlet stone seal. This seal was scarlet and incredibly heavy. When he held it in his hand, it felt like he was holding a small mountain. This is the blood-killing seal. An ancient killing formation is sealed in it. Of course, with our strength, it would be very difficult for us to control the killing formation as we wish. Chapter 1207. However, as long as I release it a little, I will be able to injure the half-step Emperor Wu. If I can lure him to me before making a move, it might be possible to kill him. Xiao Chen left his spiritual mark on the divine weapon and a drop of essence blood. First, he made this divine weapon recognize him as its master before handing it to Su Tianyun. To Su Tianyun, he only had the right to use this Emperor-grade secret treasure. If he tried to use it to injure Xiao Chen, he would immediately counter it. It was not that Xiao Chen was overly suspicious. It was just that the human heart was hard to fathom. It was never a bad thing to be more careful. Su Tianyun felt that Xiao Chen's actions were very normal. Since the other party gave him an Emperor-grade secret treasure, he had to have some countermeasures. If Xiao Chen did not, he would not feel at ease and would not dare to ask for this Emperor-grade secret treasure, fearing that there were other schemes involved. Many thanks, young Master Xiao. In the future, this scorching flame island will be the overseas conferred land of the Dragon's Gate's Heavenly Star Island. This Su will not have any other thoughts, Su Tianyun said extremely seriously after putting away the blood-killing seal. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "There is no need to be so serious. I do not care much about authority. In the future, the Su clan will be the same as before." "Oh, right, I have a question. How much do you know about the Flower of Life?" No matter what, Su Tianyun was an expert of the human demon sea. With the cultivation of a consummation blue-robed emperor, his horizons should not be low. He would definitely know some information about the Flower of Life. Xiao Chen was about to go and find out more about the Flower of Life. Coincidentally, there was a veteran of the human demons sea before him. It would be a pity not to ask. "Flower of Life?" Su Tianyun said, "This Flower of Life is very famous. Many experts of the other sea domains come to the human demon sea to seek a Flower of Life. However, it is not easy to obtain now. Although it is not extinct, it has not appeared in the auction house for several hundred years already. Compared to the death fruit, the Flower of Life was not very useful to the mixed-blood cultivators of the human demon sea. The vast life chi contained in the stamen was like poison to them. If they swallowed it, they would be in danger of dying. But for experts of other races, it was different. The dense and pure life energy could bring a dying person back to life. Having a Flower of Life was equivalent to having an extra life. Although this statement was somewhat exaggerated, it was a good representation of the Flower of Life's value. Su Tianyun continued, "The Flower of Life is hard to grow in the first place. Furthermore, it is so valuable. It would be hard for it not to go extinct." Worry flashed on Xiao Chen's face. He had not expected the Flower of Life to be so hard to find. As far as I know, Death Valley, the birthplace of the Flower of Life, no longer has any flowers of life. Even if there are any, they will immediately attract the Emperor Wu-level experts of the human demons sea to snatch them. Xiao Chen knew that he did not have the strength to snatch food from Emperor Wu's tiger's mouth. Furthermore, it was still unknown whether or not he had the Flower of Life. It was obvious that Death Valley was no longer reliable as the source of the attack. Xiao Chen muttered, "Are there any other places with flowers of life?" Su Tianyun thought for a long time. This question stumped him. He could not think of an answer. After thinking for a long time, Su Tianyun thought of something. He smiled and said, I forgot about that. There is a snake in the world called the flying dragon snake. Its entire body is not tainted with any life chi. The scales, blood, and flesh all contain the purest aura of death. The flying dragon snake only exists in our human demon sea. To us mixed blood cultivators, it is the favorite demonic beast. Its entire body is a treasure. Xiao Chen nodded and said, I've heard of this flying dragon snake before. However, what does it have to do with the flower of life that I am looking for? Don't be anxious. Listen to me slowly. Ordinary flying dragon snakes have nothing to do with you. However, the mutated flying dragon snake in the human demon paradise is related to you. Su Tianyun paused for a moment before continuing, This mutated soaring serpent has a flower of life growing on its head. Due to the existence of this flower of life, it is far stronger than ordinary soaring serpents. The death chi it contains is even denser. Several people have designs on it. However, it is in the human demon paradise. Emperor Wu cannot enter, allowing this flying dragon snake to roam freely. Instead, it grows stronger and stronger. When Xiao Chen heard this, he rejoiced. However, when he heard Su Tianyun talk about the human demon paradise, his expression turned grave. The human demon paradise was an ancient remnant of the human demon sea. Its status was equivalent to the Kunlun continent's savage battlefield. Every time the human demon paradise opened, it would attract all the peak experts under Emperor Wu. The human demon paradise had a long history, dating back to the immortal epic. It was said to be the experiential training ground of a demonic Dao sect during the immortal epic. There were some demonic beasts or natural treasures in there. To cultivators of other races, they were not very useful. However, for mixed blood cultivators of the human demon sea, they were all treasures that targeted them. To demon mixed blood cultivators, it was not an exaggeration to treat this ancient remnant as a paradise. That ancient experiential training ground was their paradise, a paradise where they could raise their strength quickly. Although I can guarantee that this flying dragon snake definitely has a flower of life growing on its head, I still advise young Master Xiao not to target this flying dragon snake. It is simply too dangerous. The human demon paradise opens once every 100 years. Every time a cultivator tried to target this mutated flying dragon snake, they all ended up dying for nothing. Among them were several strong half-step Emperor Wu. When Su Tianyun saw that Xiao Chen was tempted, he cautiously reminded him. Xiao Chen did not give a direct answer. Instead, he asked, When will the human demon paradise open again? There is still one more month. A light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. In that case, it looks like I really have to go. No matter what, going to this human demon paradise is much more reliable than going to Death Valley. I have to obtain the flower of life. In that case, to Xiao Chen, going to the human demon paradise was not a question of whether to go or not. What mattered was what preparations to make and when to make a move. After the conversation ended, Xiao Chen instructed Su Tianyun to help him look for information on the human demon paradise. The human demon paradise was very dangerous. Naturally, he had to make some preparations. Although Xiao Chen was strong now, he was not arrogant enough to think that he was unrivaled under Emperor Wu. Not to mention the peak half-step Emperor Wu, who cultivated profound cultivation techniques and medial-grade profound martial techniques. There were also the 10 outstanding talents of the human demon sea. The 10 outstanding talents of the human demon sea were all consummation quasi-emperors, possessing the ability to fight above their cultivation realms. Xiao Chen's disadvantage was his age. He was too young, only 31 years old. To the Kunlun realm, where the average age was 500 years old, there was not much difference between him and the youths of the Sky Dome realm. Ao Jiao, how much do you know about the human demon paradise? What preparations do you need to make? Xiao Chen asked. Ao Jiao came out of the immortal spirit ring and poured herself a cup of tea. Then she replied, I don't know much. That place is a land of experiential training. A sect uses it to test its disciples. As it is a demonic Dao sect, the experiential training there is extremely dangerous. Suddenly, a light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. he discovered that Ao Jiao was getting closer to a real person. Xiao Chen had not paid much attention to it for a while. However, when he looked carefully, he found it exceptionally obvious. Now, Ao Jiao could already eat and drink like a normal person, walking further and further away from the other item spirits. Xiao Chen wondered what exactly awaited Ao Jiao in the future. "Hey, why are you staring at me? There are no flowers on my face." Ao Jiao put down her teacup and rebuked him with a frown. Xiao Chen smiled embarrassedly. Then he thought of something and said, "Little Ao Jiao, actually, you don't need to stay in the immortal spirit ring or the lunar shadow saber anymore, right?" Ao Jiao was no longer an existence of energy. She did not need to expend energy to reveal her true form. Theoretically, as long as she was willing, she could stay outside for as long as she wanted. Furthermore, given the special circumstances, there was no need to worry about others recognizing her as an item spirit. When Ao Jiao heard Xiao Chen mention this, some nervousness flashed on Ao Jiao's face. However, it disappeared in a flash, hard to catch. Ao Jiao blinked. Her youthful, exquisite face seemed to contain some anticipation. She looked up at Xiao Chen and asked, "Why are you asking this?" Xiao Chen replied, "Nothing much. If that is really the case, then there is no need for you to stay in the ring. You can come out and get some fresh air." "So, you are worried that I will be bored?" "However, if I come out and stand with you, how are you going to introduce me to others?" Ao Jiao asked mischievously as she blinked and looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and rubbed his head, feeling vexed. He had not thought about this before. It seemed like no identity was suitable. Just say that she is my younger sister? That's not right. Although she slept for more than 1,000 years, she is indeed more than 1,000 years old. She is much older than me. My elder sister? That won't do either. Little Ao Jiao looks even younger than me. She cannot change her youthful appearance. Say that she is my friend? If that is the case, isn't that too distant? Our relationship cannot be described as just friends. This is really difficult. What identity should I use? As Xiao Chen thought about it, he unconsciously said what he was thinking. Suddenly, he felt that the temperature in the room had turned cold. He raised his head and looked at Ao Jiao, who had a frosty expression, before he snapped out of his thoughts. "Who are you calling more than 1,000 years old? I am 18. I am 18. I will always be 18. Ao Jiao flew over and pressed Xiao Chen to the ground. Then, she said angrily with a cold expression. Xiao Chen lay on the ground and looked at the furious Ao Jiao, who was riding on him. He smiled helplessly and said, "All right, I was wrong. I will always be the 18-year-old Ao Jiao." "That's more like it." Ao Jiao's expression changed quickly. She lowered her head and smiled. "All right, let's go back to the earlier question. If I come out and stand with you, what identity will you use to introduce me?" Their current position looked very ambiguous. Although the two of them were very close, Xiao Chen still felt a little strange. Furthermore, Ao Jiao was no different from a real girl now. "All right, I'll answer you. However, can you get up first? How can a girl press down on someone else like that?" A look of doubt flashed in Ao Jiao's eyes. She smiled and said, "Is that so? Why do I recall that elder sister Ryue pressed down on you like that in the Sky Dome realm?" Xiao Chen laughed awkwardly. He wanted to reason with her but did not know what to say. Chapter 1208. Seeing that Xiao Chen was embarrassed and speechless, a sly smile flashed across Ao Jiao's eyes. Xiao Chen caught this smug look and immediately understood that he was fooled by this lass. In a fit of anger, he flipped over and pressed Ao Jiao down. "You're too daring. You even dare to fool your master." Xiao Chen pressed down on her hand and glared at her. He looked very angry. Ao Jiao looked at Xiao Chen at such a close distance and seemed to be really frightened. She said softly, "Are you really angry? I didn't do it on purpose. Actually, I know what you said is right. But don't worry. Ao Jiao won't treat others like that. She will only press down on you." Towards the end, her voice became softer and softer. Xiao Chen couldn't help but blush. He was a little embarrassed and let his imagination run wild. Xiao Chen's hands that were pressing down on Ao Jiao also loosened a little. Ao Jiao chuckled. She no longer had the delicate look from before. She flipped over and pressed down on Xiao Chen again. She sat on Xiao Chen's body. Ha! A stupid master is still a stupid master. You are exactly the same as the first time I saw you. Tell me, what were you thinking about just now? Look at how red your face is. Ao Jiao giggled and pinched Xiao Chen's cheeks like a proud queen. Xiao Chen regretted it too late. He still fell for this lass's trick. This lass was indeed a 1,000-year-old shrewd person. He still couldn't win against her. The two of them flipped over and over again. He was still being ridden by this lass. Xiao Chen smiled helplessly. Stop pinching. I was wrong just now. Ao Jiao then stopped in satisfaction and said, Do you still dare to pretend to be angry with me? I don't dare anymore. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly in his heart and admitted obediently. Ao Jiao smiled and said, That's right. Although you're a blockhead, what about some things? I also want to teach you that getting angry is a girl's right. Boys can't get angry at girls. Also, don't pretend to be angry, because the girl who cares about you will definitely be very stupid. She will really think that you are angry and will feel sad and blame herself. Xiao Chen looked at Ao Jiao's serious face and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How did you know that? Idiot, how would I know? I'm talking about myself. Ao Jiao cursed in her heart and changed the topic. Let's not talk about this first. You haven't answered my question. If I stand with you, how are you going to introduce me to the others? How is my cousin? No, this can't show my mature and steady temperament. It's like a child. Am I that naughty? What about cousin? No, I said I'm 18. You're already 31. How can I be your cousin? Auntie, can I? But you're asking for a beating. Think about it seriously. I'm asking you seriously. Think about it, think about it. What about junior sister? Junior sister, this is not bad. However, your master is Lu Riyue. If I am your junior sister, wouldn't I be a generation lower than her? No, absolutely not. In that case, whatever you say. Idiot, I'm the one asking you. Seeing Ao Jiao riding on top of him, looking like she was not going to give up, Xiao Chen felt a headache coming on. What should he do with the 18-year-old Ao Jiao? The latter half of the night passed in this playful manner. When the sky brightened, the two of them were somewhat tired. They lay on the ground and stared at the ceiling in a daze. Originally, Xiao Chen only wanted to ask Ao Jiao about what he needed to take note of when he went to the human-demon paradise. He did not expect the night to pass so quickly. Xiao Chen thought about it carefully. It had been a long time since he had played around like this. Actually, no one had changed. Ao Jiao had not changed. She was still that Sundra girl with a bad temper. However, after she blocked the lightning tribulation for Xiao Chen and revived, she had become somewhat silent. Xiao Chen had not changed either. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 13 years had passed. Xiao Chen's dream of 13 years had never wavered. He wanted to climb to the peak of the martial Dao and leave behind his own legend in this world. He wanted to know if the Qing Emperor was dead or not and how he came to this world. He wanted to know why that old monster from the immortal epic that he met in the past said that the entire Kunlun realm was an abandoned land. He wanted to know where the people who left their nameless marks on the Sage Mark Monument went. He also wanted to know if there were martial gods in this world and if there was a peak on the path of cultivation. There was also Chu Chaoyan, this mysterious opponent. After leaving Xiao Chen a painting, he vanished from his world once more. There were too many things that Xiao Chen wanted to do. However, he only had 3 years left. If he did not advance to Martial Emperor, everything would be empty talk. No matter how dazzling the light was, it was just a meteor flashing by on this great stage of the Age of Geniuses. Xiao Chen did not know how strong the group of outstanding talents in the distant astral battlefield were. He had not fought with these people yet. How could he be satisfied with just being a meteor? Xiao Chen stared blankly at the ceiling as several scenes flashed before his eyes. He could not bear to leave this starry world. Hey, what are you thinking about? Ao Jiao, who was also lying at the side, turned her head and asked. Xiao Chen smiled and replied, I'm recalling some things and some of my goals. After thinking about it, I still ended up returning to reality. I wonder if I can find the flower of life in the human demon paradise. Ao Jiao smiled and stood up. Then, she pulled Xiao Chen up and said, "There is no point in thinking too much. I'll practice with you and give you some confidence." Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Your strength increased again. There were several Holy Spirit veins in the immortal spirit ring. Ao Jiao had been cultivating there all this time. It was impossible for her to remain stagnant. I'm far from comparable to you. However, it is enough to deal with a regular consummation blue-robed emperor. If I work with little yellow feather, I should be able to fight with the half-step Emperor Wu. This was good news. With an additional helper, there would be more hope for their trip to the human demon paradise. The two stood up and went to the courtyard. Then they bowed to each other. In the end, Ao Jiao only bowed halfway when she giggled and suddenly attacked. She had the pretty face of a young girl and a voluptuous figure. She held two sabers in her hands and thrust them into the air. She looked very valiant and graceful. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and did not draw his saber for now. He wanted to test Ao Jiao's strength. As the two sat in Scorching Flame City and prepared, the other outstanding talents of the Human Demon Sea and the many peak experts did not remain idle either. The Human Demon Paradise opened once every 100 years. As the experiential training ground of the demonic Dao sects during the Immortal Epic, it was a public land of fortuitous encounters for the mixed-blood cultivators of the Human Demon Sea. The experiential training ground of a sect during the Immortal Epic was already of such high standards. It was hard to imagine what a glorious age that was. Would Emperor Wu be an ant in the eyes of those strong immortals? Half a month later, Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao, who had been preparing for a long time on Scorching Flame Island, took their leave from Su Tianyun and rode the Flood Dragon war chariot to the Human Demon Paradise. As Su Tianyun watched the two travel in the war chariot, a look of envy flashed in his eyes. The Human Demon Paradise opened once every 100 years. If not for the danger being too high and the heavy responsibilities of the Su clan's clan head, he would have gone to join in the excitement. The entrance to the Human Demon Paradise was on a desolate island in the Central Sea region of the Human Demon Sea. That was a bona fide desolate island. Aside from yellow sand, there were no plants or demonic beasts on the island. Normally, no one would come here to join in the excitement. However, as the days of the Human Demon Paradise's opening approached, more and more cultivators landed on the desolate island. Yellow sand covered the entire place, a boundless sea of sand rising and falling, stretching as far as the eye could see. A stone stele stood in the center of the desert. Black smoke spread out, and chains wrapped around it, making it look like a sharp sword piercing the sky. The words carved on the stone stele looked ancient and desolate, adding a mysterious aura to the stone stele. People moved about the desert in all directions. Warships and flying beasts filled the air. Cultivators of various cultivations had already arrived at this desert dozens of days in advance. As a land of fortuitous encounters similar to the savage battlefield, the Human Demon Paradise had extremely dangerous places. Even Emperor Wu did not dare to enter. There were also some ordinary forbidden lands for martial sages and martial monarchs. As long as cultivators of all levels could endure their greed and not wander around, they would be able to gain something from those places. However, it was easier said than done to suppress one's greed. Furthermore, even if one could restrain one's greed, it did not mean that others could and would not try to kill them. Although it was called a paradise, it was actually filled with danger. If one was not careful, one might lose their life. The many cultivators on the desert sea felt excited. Despite their anticipation, they also felt intense nervousness. While the place looked chaotic and unruly, it was actually very orderly. There were many different circles in the stone stele from near to far, showing the strict and cruel division of ranks. As the entrance, the people sitting cross-legged within 100 meters of the stone stele were all half-step Emperor Wu, consummation blue-robed emperor who had lived for several hundred years, or the most eye-catching 10 outstanding talents of the Human Demon Sea. The instant the Human Demon Paradise opened, these people would immediately obtain the right to enter the Human Demon Paradise. The reason was none other than that they were strong enough. When the people in the periphery looked at the small circle within 100 meters, they would feel a deep fear. They would not even dare to take a few more glances. Where would they find the courage to enter the human-demon paradise before these people? 100 meters away were the circles for the small perfection blue-robed emperor and the great perfection blue-robed emperor. Further out were the circles for the martial sages. Everything was clearly separated, and the ranks were very orderly. Within these circles, everyone had their own paths. They planned to enter the human-demon paradise together and seek fortuitous encounters. Whoosh! Just at this moment, two figures flew over at lightning speed in the sky. They were a man and a woman. The man wore white and looked delicate. At first glance, he did not look extraordinary. However, when one looked at him for a while, one would feel that he was unfathomable, not daring to underestimate him. The woman looked very pretty, like a young girl. Her exquisite figure was curvaceous in all the right places. With one glance, one could not help but let one's imagination run wild. A small golden bird perched on the woman's shoulder, its eyes filled with spirituality. These two were none other than Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao, who had rushed over with the golden crow holy beast, Little Yellow Feather. However, right now Little Yellow Feather had not entered a state of combat. It looked very ordinary, like a pet bird. Aside from its beautiful and smooth feathers, there was nothing noteworthy about it. Chapter 1209. As Xiao Chen hovered in the air, he did not advance rashly. He only took a glance and saw the distinct circle of people below. The two in the air were very eye-catching among the group of demon mixed blood cultivators. The cultivators who came here all had the aura of the deep abyss demonic race, as well as an indistinct death demonic chi. Only Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao did not have any demon race aura on them. It would be difficult for them not to attract attention. Ao Jiao pointed to the stone stele and said, "That is the entrance to the human-demon paradise. Come, let's go down." Xiao Chen thought for a while and felt that it was better to get closer. He needed to snatch some things first. If he lost the flower of life because he was slower than others at the entrance, it would not be worth it. He would feel like crying, but no tears would come. Damn. Those two people are really bold. They actually went to the circle of half-step Emperor Wu. When the two landed, the already eye-catching two attracted everyone's attention. The dozens of people in the circle of half-step Emperor Wu also noticed Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao flying over. Several of them revealed displeased expressions. Entering a circle was not a simple matter. Who did not want to enter the human-demon paradise at the first opportunity? Who did not know the principle of seizing the initiative? However, not everyone was strong enough to stand in this circle. If one was not strong enough, they would only be humiliated and tossed out. When Xiao Chen got closer, he looked around and discovered that there were about 70 or 80 people within 100 meters. Most of them were half-step Emperor Wu. Aside from those who had matters to attend to, all the half-step Emperor Wu of the human demons sea were probably here. Aside from the half-step Emperor Wu, there were the consummation blue-robed emperors who had lived for hundreds of years. Their auras were heavy, and their law energy leaked out. They gave off the feeling of being as heavy as a mountain and as deep as the sea. Their strength was unfathomable. In addition to these, there were 10 other young people standing together, forming a small circle. Among them, Xiao Chen noticed Dugu Ao's figure. A purple-haired beauty stood beside Dugu Ao. She had an exotic air and a unique charm. Xiao Chen paid attention. This purple-haired woman should have the bloodline of an Eros demon. Otherwise, she would not be so charming. These 10 people should be the famous 10 outstanding talents of the human demon sea. Finding an empty space, Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao landed quietly. It was as if he didn't know what kind of circle he had entered. He was calm and composed, without the slightest hint of nervousness. As the two of them landed on the ground, the gazes of the small circle immediately focused on them. However, after a quick glance at Xiao Chen, all of their gazes fell onto Ao Jiao. With little Ao Jiao's hot figure and youthful appearance, it was hard not to attract the attention of others. "Do you know those two?" the purple-haired beauty beside Dugu Ao asked when she noticed Dugu Ao's expression. Dugu Ao nodded and replied, I know the man, but I don't know the woman. The purple-haired beauty smiled and said, You really do know him. Your friend is like you, extremely courageous. Unfortunately, he is only a great perfection blue-robed emperor, yet he dares to stand here. Furthermore, he is bringing a beauty with him. He is like a lamb entering a wolf's den. He is truly reckless. Dugu Ao's lips twitched. He did not want to explain too much. Mu Xian, if you really think that way, the one at a disadvantage will be you. Mu Xian clearly did not believe him. Is that so? There is already someone who is not convinced. Furthermore, he is an old pervert. I hope that your friend is as you say. Otherwise, he will be in trouble. Dugu Ao looked up and saw a half-step Emperor Wu, who had a bad reputation in the human demon sea, walking over to Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao. Although this person looked old, he was spirited. His face was ruddy, and his eyes glowed with a sinister light, making one feel uncomfortable. Ao Jiao frowned slightly, revealing a look of disgust. Xiao Chen stepped forward and blocked her. Xiao Chen had already expected that there would be unavoidable trouble. He was not surprised. He did not fear a fight. He wanted to show his strength and prove that he was qualified to stand here. Young man, this is not a place where you can stand casually. Leave your female companion behind, and you may leave, the old man said disdainfully as he looked at Xiao Chen. Old man Feng is still so horny. This young man is in trouble. It is not him who is in trouble. It is his female companion who is in trouble. Old man Feng is not interested in men. I wonder where these two outsiders came from. The fortuitous encounters in the human-demon paradise are useless to cultivators of other races. Why are they here to join in the fun? If they want to join in the fun, then so be it. Why are they standing where they should not be? I wonder where their eyes are. The group of demon mixed-blood cultivators did not have a good impression of these outsiders in the first place. Furthermore, these outsiders had barged into their circle for no reason. Even though Old Man Feng had a bad reputation, he did not say anything to stop them. He only wanted to watch the show. Xiao Chen sized up this Old Man Feng. He was not very strong, just an ordinary half-step Emperor Wu, about the same as Wang Yang. Compared to Bing Xuejian, whom Xiao Chen met at Blackwater Island, and the Jadeite Mountain Manor Lord, Old Man Feng was much weaker. Xiao Chen looked straight at the other party, not showing any intention of retreating. He said indifferently, I will stand here. What do you want? Old Man Feng paused for no reason. He had not expected Xiao Chen to have such an attitude. Xiao Chen was very carefree, completely ignoring his words. Since I am standing here, naturally, I have the confidence to do so. I have no grudge with you. I advise you to think this through before you move forward. There are some places that you cannot stand casually, and there are some people that you cannot offend. Old Man Feng's gaze was like a sharp treasure saber. As Xiao Chen spoke, he took another step forward. This step was like an unsheathed treasured sword that was suddenly pulled out by an inch. The metallic sound of a saber rang out. White robes fluttered on the yellow sand. In an instant, Xiao Chen's aura changed greatly. It became unbridled and incomparably sharp. A strong wind blew for no reason, carrying sand and dust into the air. Within 100 meters, the people who did not care about Xiao Chen all froze. Clearly, they had not expected this white-clad person to have such a terrifying sharpness. The eyes of the purple-haired beauty lit up. She exclaimed in shock, What a strong sharpness! Could it be just for show? Old Man Feng's heart sank. Unexpectedly, he ran into a tough nut to crack. Now that Old Man Feng thought about it, what the other party said was true. If he did not have any confidence, how could he have the courage to stand here? However, Old Man Feng no longer had a way out. Everyone in the circle was watching him. If he retreated now, he would lose all his face. A bona fide half-step Emperor Wu retreated before a great perfection blue-robed emperor. What could be more laughable than this? Old Man Feng smiled coldly and said, Interesting. A great perfection blue-robed emperor actually dares to turn around and threaten me. The world is changing too quickly. Or am I already old? You are indeed old. Without saying a word, Xiao Chen replied coldly. Then he stepped forward again and threw a palm strike at Old Man Feng. When Xiao Chen sent out his palm strike, all his vital chi surged. 15 dragon force instantly merged with law energy. Then he sent out a palm strike without any fancy moves. The entire place fell silent. The white-clad youth, who was 2 grades weaker than Old Man Feng, actually chose to make the first move. Old Man Feng was clearly surprised. However, he was a veteran of hundreds of battles and was very experienced. After the initial panic, he calmed down. Old Man Feng did not believe that a great perfection blue-robed emperor could store up much force when he attacked so quickly. Scram! Old Man Feng casually threw a palm strike. When Xiao Chen charged over, he erupted with half his strength and sent out a palm strike without any fancy moves. Bang! When the 2 palms clashed, the expected situation of Xiao Chen being sent flying did not happen. Instead, the 2 were evenly matched. That was to say, the explosive power of this white-clad youth was no weaker than Old Man Feng's. The more shocking thing was yet to come. The instant the 2 palms clashed, the white-clad youth's clothes and hair fluttered without any wind. Ding! 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 Xiao Chen's clothes and hair fluttered like zither strings. A boundless saber intent spread out wildly from his body along with this wondrous zither music. Flawless saber Dao, body as saber. This palm strike was like the sharpest treasure saber in the world. When it was drawn, it gave off an unparalleled sharpness and an overwhelming sharpness. Old Man Feng had not expected Xiao Chen's simple palm strike to have so many tricks up its sleeve. Old Man Feng immediately suffered, his entire right hand in incredible pain. The force that surged over was like a sharp knife cutting at his flesh, skin, and meridians. Although Old Man Feng's strength was no weaker than Xiao Chen's, the pain deterred him from continuing to clash with Xiao Chen. Shock and rage flashed on Old Man Feng's face as he withdrew his hand and turned around, wanting to retreat. "You want to leave? I said before, there are some people that you cannot offend as you please." Old Man Feng's actions were completely within Xiao Chen's expectations. He completely unleashed the Thunder Dragon steps that he had been storing up for a long time. Xiao Chen pushed off the ground and soared into the air. Many purple electric dragons soared out of the ground. This formed a vast scene of dragons soaring, pushing Xiao Chen's speed to the limit. As Xiao Chen soared, he punched Old Man Feng, who was retreating, in the chest. Bang! He knocked Old Man Feng into the sand. Xiao Chen knelt on one knee and pressed his fist against the ground. Old Man Feng's figure could not be seen above the sand at all. The circle within 100 meters fell completely silent. No one had expected that a moment of carelessness would result in Old Man Feng suffering such a huge disadvantage. After knocking Old Man Feng into the sand with one punch, Xiao Chen withdrew his hand and stood upright. The many purple electric dragons materialized by Thunder Dragon steps danced wildly behind him. This gave Xiao Chen a somewhat tyrannical aura. He looked like a dragon among men, a sovereign among dragons. Pooh! Old Man Feng burst out of the sand. Xiao Chen watched coldly, not taking advantage of the moment Old Man Feng jumped out to continue attacking. This was because there was no need. The 2 of them had already reached a very high level. It would be easy to defeat one of them, but it would be difficult to kill the other. Furthermore, if they fought to the death, even if Xiao Chen won, he would still be the one suffering. Chapter 12:10. Xiao Chen believed that the other party would choose to retreat in the face of difficulties and not seek trouble for no reason. After living for so long, it was impossible for the other party to not understand these principles that he knew. However, if the other party really dared to come again, then Xiao Chen would not be polite with him either. After coming to this oceanic world, Xiao Chen had fought in the various sea regions. Their cultivations were not much different, so he had never feared anyone. Old Man Feng trembled slightly and wiped off the sand on his body. As he looked at Xiao Chen, who had dragons dancing behind him, intense rage burned in his eyes. Old Man Feng's rationality told him that there was no point in continuing to pester Xiao Chen at this moment. However, he simply could not accept being humiliated by a youth in his circle. "Brat, you really do not know what's good for you. Today, I will show you the true strength of the half-step Emperor Wu. Old Man Feng roared, and many miniature tornadoes appeared behind him. These tornadoes looked like they were only the size of a finger. However, as the tornadoes tore, fine cracks appeared in space. As the cracks gathered, the space behind him looked like it would shatter. Enough. Old Man Feng, there is no need to cause trouble for no reason. Just at this moment, a cold snort rang out. An old man sat cross-legged at the place closest to the stone steel. He looked ordinary and did not give off any aura. The one who spoke was this white-haired old man. The moment he spoke, he immediately attracted the attention of countless people. Old Man Feng, who was called out, was startled. He had not expected to attract the white-haired old man's attention. He already proved that he has the strength to stand here. If you want to regain your face, either enter the human-demon paradise first or scram far away. Don't disturb the others here. The white-haired old man's tone was very tyrannical and impolite. However, these words prevented Old Man Feng from retorting. After glancing at Xiao Chen, Old Man Feng obediently withdrew his aura and stood to the side. Xiao Chen stopped executing the Thunder Dragon steps and looked at the old man behind the stone steel. He was somewhat startled. He had not noticed this old man at all. However, when Old Man Feng spoke, no one dared to make a sound. The enraged Old Man Feng was reprimanded until he was rendered speechless. If he didn't have great strength, the white-haired old man definitely wouldn't have such a deterrent force. The human demon sea was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Perhaps there were hidden existences like this white-haired old man in this circle. It looked ordinary and unremarkable, but it was actually incredibly powerful. "Brother Xiao, this way." A voice rang out by Xiao Chen's ear. It was Dugu Ao sending a voice projection to him. Xiao Chen looked over and nodded in acknowledgement. Then he walked over with Ao Jiao. In the small circle of the 10 outstanding talents, Dugu Ao stood alone with the purple-haired woman, keeping a certain distance from the others. Seeing Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao walking towards Dugu Ao, the other 8 of the 10 outstanding talents revealed strange expressions. This was because Dugu Ao had a fiery temper and was proud and arrogant. Aside from the purple-haired woman, he had no friends among the people of the same age. Aside from this, there was another special reason. Everyone knew that although Dugu Ao was a mixed blood, he cultivated the veritable essence energy of humans. He did not cultivate the death demonic chi of the deep abyss demon race. It was like he was a germaphobe and had no friends at all. However, such a reclusive person seemed to know this white-robed person. Naturally, this piqued the interest of the others. Interesting. Unexpectedly, aside from Mu Xian, there is someone else who is acquainted with Dugu Ao, a handsome red-haired man muttered. This person's name was Pei Yan, the strongest of the 10 outstanding talents of the human demon sea. He had defeated the half-step Emperor Wu many times. This person was Pei Yan, the strongest of the 10 outstanding talents of the human demon sea. He had defeated the half-step Emperor Wu many times. Pei Yan had the bloodline of a human and a fire demon. He had a unique understanding and strong comprehension of the will of fire. When Pei Yan saw Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao walking together with Dugu Ao, he started to think to himself, would the appearance of these two change his plans? What's wrong? It is just 2 more pieces of trash. Do you think that Dugu Ao can compete with us? Someone beside Pei Yan asked. This person had a frosty expression, looking proud and aloof. His arrogant appearance made him look extremely arrogant. Pei Yan smiled and said, "In your eyes, those who are inferior to you are trash. However, even a dog would be in big trouble if it got bitten. Your attitude is unacceptable." When the two stood together, they stood out from the crowd. They both exuded a strong aura, showing how extraordinary they were. In reality, this was not wrong. This frosty man was called Han Feng. He ranked second among the 10 outstanding talents and was known as the cold-blooded swordsman. He was cold and emotionless, vicious and merciless. The remaining 6 of the 10 outstanding talents formed another circle under the leadership of the third-ranked Yi Ziheng. With Pei Yan, Dugu Ao, and Yi Ziheng as the leaders, the 10 outstanding talents formed 3 circles. It seemed like they all had a common goal. After Xiao Chen and Ao Jiao entered, they disrupted the balance in this small circle, causing a commotion that was neither too big nor too small. Xiao Chen, right? This is my first time meeting you. I am Mu Xian. When the purple-haired girl saw Xiao Chen walk over, she immediately went forward and introduced herself. Her eyes were charming and captivating as she gave Xiao Chen a fierce look. Ao Jiao frowned heavily. Her lips curled up as she snorted with a cold expression. When Mu Xian saw this, she smiled faintly. The charm on her face intensified. This girl's charm technique evoked a memory in Xiao Chen, a distant memory of a girl he did not know if he would meet again. After being distracted for a moment, Xiao Chen nodded politely. Then, he walked over to Dugu Ao and pushed the other party to the side. Mu Xian's smile froze. What is this? Does he ignore my charm technique? When Ao Jiao saw this scene, she smiled at Mu Xian in a cocky manner. Little yellow feather on her shoulder spread its wings and patted its paws, showing a cocky expression as well. This human and bird, especially little yellow feather's despicable appearance, angered Mu Xian so much that she felt like vomiting blood. I am very surprised that you, a human cultivator, would be interested in this human-demon paradise, Dugu Ao said. Xiao Chen said indifferently, actually, I wanted to say that as well. You also cultivate veritable essence energy. Why are you here? Dugu Ao smiled and said, I suddenly have a feeling that my goal might be the same as yours. Xiao Chen said, in that case, how about we write our goals on our palms at the same time and see if they are the same? All right. The two stretched out their palms and placed them in front of their eyes. Characters appeared on their palms from nowhere. After they finished writing, they clenched their fists and brought them together. The two glanced at each other and opened their palms at the same time. The words, mutated flying dragon snake, flickered on Dugu Ao's palm while the words, flower of life, appeared on Xiao Chen's palm. Indeed, it is the same. The two smiled faintly and casually scattered the characters on their palms. Dugu Ao stood upright with his hands behind his back and said, although our goals are the same, our goals are somewhat different. I owe that woman a favor and need to help her obtain the mutated flying dragon snake's darkness demon core. As for you, you want the flower of life. We can work together. When Dugu Ao spoke of owing Mu Xian a favor, an unnatural expression flashed on his face. This made one curious. How did Dugu Ao end up owing Mu Xian a favor? There had to be a thought-provoking story behind this. Xiao Chen was not a gossipy person, so he did not pursue the matter. He did not even think about Dugu Ao's proposal before directly agreeing. There was no other reason. One more person meant one more force. The benefits of working together outweighed the disadvantages. The flower of life was very important to Xiao Chen. Without the flower of life, he could not advance to martial emperor. As long as there was a chance to increase his chances of obtaining the flower of life, Xiao Chen absolutely would not give up. Dugu Ao smiled faintly, revealing a trace of joy on his face. With Xiao Chen's help, he was more confident of this trip. After negotiating the cooperation, Dugu Ao pointed to Ao Jiao, who was beside Xiao Chen. Who is this? You have not introduced her yet. Is she coming with us? The feeling that Ao Jiao gave Dugu Ao was somewhat unfathomable. It felt like he was looking at flowers through a fog. This made Dugu Ao doubt Ao Jiao's strength, so he needed to get an accurate answer from Xiao Chen. Upon hearing this question, Ao Jiao smiled smugly. Her face was as proud as it could be. She glanced at Xiao Chen and quietly waited for him to speak. When Xiao Chen thought back to the experience of that night, an embarrassed expression flashed in his eyes. After thinking for a while, he gave the answer that had bothered him many times that night. This is my little master, Ao Jiao. There is no need to worry about her strength. A regular half-step Emperor Wu will not be able to stop her. Furthermore, she is much more experienced in combat than you or me. Strictly speaking, this was not wrong. Ao Jiao had indeed taught Xiao Chen many things. This was especially so in the Sky Dome realm. When Xiao Chen was still very weak, he had received a lot of guidance from Ao Jiao. However, the mention of Xiao Chen's master and the aura of the two were somewhat strange. Dugu Ao did not overthink this. He believed that given Xiao Chen's character, He would not joke about such a thing. Furthermore, Ao Jiao gave him a feeling that he could not see through her. When Dugu Ao heard this, he felt deep veneration for Ao Jiao. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "So, it is a senior Ao. Dugu Ao has been impolite." Ao Jiao smiled like a flower. I don't dare to address you as senior. Just call me elder sister Ao Jiao." "Right, I'll listen to senior, elder sister Ao Jiao." When Xiaochen saw Dugu Ao's serious expression, he felt like laughing. However, he managed to hold it in the end. "Are you for real? This girl is a senior? Even if you beat me to death, I will not believe it." Mu Xian's face filled with shock. She was of the same generation as Dugu Ao. Didn't that mean that she was a generation lower than this girl? When Mu Xian thought about how this girl laughed at her with that little bird earlier, she could not help feeling angry. Dugu Ao's expression turned serious as he said, "How can you say that? This is a senior who is here to help you. Quickly apologize and call her elder sister." Mu Xian seemed to fear Dugu Ao somewhat. She looked at him with some grievance. When she saw that he still had a serious expression, she could only walk over to Ao Jiao. After Mu Xian apologized in a soft voice, she called out to elder sister Ao Jiao in dissatisfaction. Chapter 12:11. It's fine. This elder sister has always been magnanimous. I will not bicker with children. Ao Jiao rejoiced in her heart. "Who asked you to flirt with me? Now, you still have to obediently call me elder sister." When little yellow feather felt that Ao Jiao was showing off, it also felt very cocky. It circled around Ao Jiao. When Mu Xian saw this, she gritted her teeth. However, she still forced a smile. Xiaochen sensed that something was wrong with the two. However, he did not overthink it. While there was still some time before the human-demon paradise opened, he asked, "How much do you know about this mutated flying dragon snake? How many people are competing with us this time?" Dugu Ao thought for a while before replying, "Actually, this huge snake is only slightly stronger than a regular half-step Emperor Wu. The main thing is that the death chi on its body is too pure. Its recovery ability is too strong. It is not something that can be killed simply by relying on numbers. As for the competition, based on what I know, the 10 outstanding talents are all targeting this mutated flying dragon snake. As for who else, I am not sure." Xiaochen frowned slightly. It seemed like the information he received was somewhat different. According to Su Tianyun, the mutated flying dragon snake was already too dangerous, so few people took the risk. After raising his question, Dugu Ao looked at the 10 outstanding talents and said, "The information is somewhat outdated. This mutated flying dragon snake just happened to be over 3,000 years old this year. A 3,000-year-old flying dragon snake's demon core can already evolve into a demonic essence pill. An ordinary demonic essence pill is already very valuable. The mutated flying dragon snake's demonic essence pill will be even more horrifying. It can increase the chances of a demonic mixed blood undergoing the great tribulation of wind and fire by 50%. Xiaochen understood now. No wonder these 10 outstanding talents were all eyeing the mutated flying dragon snake. The 10 outstanding talents were all consummation blue-robed emperors. They all feared the unknown of the great tribulation of wind and fire. With the mutated demonic essence pill, it was like taking half a reassurance pill in advance. The two of them chatted casually for a while. Then, Xiaochen inadvertently glanced at the white-haired old man that he feared. He asked, "What is the background of this white-haired old man?" Even old man Feng did not dare to retort when he scolded him. At the mention of this white-haired old man, Dugu Ao's expression turned grave. This is the old black iron monster. He possesses the iron demon bloodline and once killed Emperor Wu. He is one of the strongest half-step Emperor Wu in the human demon sea. Hearing this, Xiaochen was shocked, feeling extremely shocked. As a half-step Emperor Wu, he killed an Emperor Wu. This was beyond his imagination, and he felt that it was inconceivable. It was no wonder that the moment he spoke, old man Feng was so frightened that he immediately lost all of his arrogance. However, was this true? Dugu Ao nodded and said, Although he won very miserably, it is indeed true. He killed an Emperor Wu before. Emperor Wu is also divided into different ranks. Some of the newly advanced Emperor Wu's heart of an emperor is not dense enough, and some of the Emperor Wu's golden body is not pure enough. Although he is ridiculously strong to us, he is not an unrivaled existence. Xiao Chen nodded to himself. Now that Dugu Ao said that, it made sense. The old black iron monster only killed a newly advanced martial emperor. However, this did not deny the old black iron monster's strength. At the very least, Xiao Chen believed that he was not a match for any Emperor Wu, not even the newly Emperor Wu. However, it is fine. He wants to find another way to complete the golden body of Emperor Wu, allowing himself to ascend to the Emperor Dao. His goal is different from ours. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. If such a person became an opponent, just thinking about it was somewhat scary. Since the demonic essence pill was used to help the blue-robed emperor undergo his great tribulation of wind and fire, then his main competitors would be the peak experts of the consummation blue-robed emperor. At most, there would be some half-step Emperor Wu, who was just watching the show. It was still possible to snatch the flower of life. This thought made everyone feel more relaxed. Rumble! 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 Just at this moment, the ground suddenly shook intensely. A savage aura spread out from the ancient stone steel that looked like a sharp sword. Everyone's expressions froze as they looked at the stone steel at the same time. Xiao Chen's gaze sank as he muttered, "Is it going to open? The human demon paradise?" The chains on the stone steel fell one by one, giving off heavy clangs. When the chains finished falling, a pitch-black clump of light appeared at the top of the stone steel. After a while, the clump of light turned into an ancient secret door. With a th sound, the door of light suddenly opened as if it was solid, radiating a strange, ink-like light. Whoosh! The old black iron monster, who was the closest, was the first to move. "Come, let's go in," Dugu Ao said quickly. Then he quickly charged in. Xiao Chen, Ao Jiao, and Mu Xian moved at nearly the same time. Although the desert sea was noisy and chaotic, it still maintained the most basic rules. Groups of different strengths, from strong to weak, entered in an orderly fashion. If a cultivator from the lower group tried to enter first, they would suffer the attacks of the entire upper group. They would not dare to move rashly. The ancient black door of light, the many excited cultivators above the desert sea, and the experts flying into the door of light formed a solemn scene. Even though the six paths were no longer around and the cycles of reincarnation were broken, the distant demonic Tao sects of the immortal epic still remained. This land of experiential training still gave off the glory of that era. When all the cultivators present had entered the human demon paradise, two beams of divine light suddenly descended from the sky above the calm sea of sand. When the lights landed, two handsome deity race experts with white hair and golden eyes glanced at the door of darkness on the stone steel. Then, without saying a word, they instantly entered. Suddenly, the sand on the ground exploded, and two coffins flew out, carrying the two corpse race half-step Emperor Wu into the human demon paradise. White figures flashed. Not long after the coffins flew in, two ghost race half-step Emperor Wu with pale faces entered the human demon paradise. Soon, peak half-step martial emperors of the fiend race and the human race appeared one after another. After all the demon mixed-blood cultivators entered, 10 odd experts of the foreign races appeared. Furthermore, all of them were ridiculously strong. No one knew what was going on. Why did the human demon paradise, which only attracted demon mixed-blood cultivators, attract so many foreign race experts? TSK. It looks like it is not just one major character who deduced that the crux of this fellow's advancement to martial emperor lies in the flower of life. We are not the only ones who are not willing to see a second Qing emperor. A clump of blood squirmed on the beach and condensed into a handsome red-clad figure with a strange aura. The demonic qi that this red-clad figure exuded was far denser than that of any demon mixed-blood cultivator. It was so pure that it was terrifying. A light flashed, and this mysterious red-clad figure entered the human demon paradise as well. As the sun set in the west, The entrance to the human-demon paradise slowly closed. A youth with calm eyes and a sword on his back appeared on the distant desert sea. That was close. I nearly came too late. Tens of thousands of meters away, the young man had a faint smile on his lips as he spoke in a slightly happy manner. Right after he spoke, his body turned into two beams of light, one black and one white, intertwining with each other. At the last moment before the entrance to the human-demon paradise closed, he entered. Xiao Chen, who entered the human-demon paradise, did not know that several peak major characters had already deduced that he would be facing a great calamity when he tried to snatch the flower of life. These major characters had already reached the peak of the Kunlun realm and touched upon some of the extremely profound heavenly Tao. As long as they obtained a person's aura, they could reverse the heavenly Tao and deduce the key points of the calamity of that person. Of course, such a method of deduction reversed the heavenly Tao and paid a huge price. The information obtained was not very comprehensive and could not predict a person's future, only some crucial points. Furthermore, Xiao Chen had great luck on him. If one wanted to deduce his tribulation point, they would have to pay an even greater price. Even the primes of the various races would have to pay a huge price just to deduce it. They would need a long time to recover, so they would not dare to make careless deductions. The few primes had been paying attention to Xiao Chen long ago. They saw Xiao Chen's tribulation point in the heavenly Tao at the same time. With the Thunder King protecting him, the primes did not dare to kill Xiao Chen head-on. However, they could still do something to prevent him from obtaining the flower of life. Inside the human-demon paradise, Xiao Chen and Dugu Ao quickly headed for Death Swamp, where the mutated flying dragon snake was. The human-demon paradise was incredibly vast. There were mountains, lakes, rivers, forests, swamps, desolate ice, and all sorts of other terrains. The place was complex and ever-changing, hiding all sorts of dangers. Amidst the danger, there were all sorts of fortuitous encounters. The human-demon paradise had been passed down for millions of years. The general situation inside had long since spread. Cultivators of different cultivations all had a bottom line in their hearts. They knew where they were going to take risks and would not randomly go to places that were much stronger than them. Of course, there would definitely be some skilled and bold people who wanted to seek riches amidst danger, going to even more dangerous places. The thoughts and decisions of these people had nothing to do with Xiao Chen. His and Dugu Ao's goal was very straightforward, to rush to Death Swamp immediately. Then, they would forcefully snatch the flower of life from the various competitors. Then, they would take the most crucial step on their rugged and thorny Emperor's Road. No one has succeeded in killing the mutated flying dragon snake in the past few thousand years. Now that it has condensed a demonic essence core, it will be even harder to deal with. How confident are you? Xiao Chen asked Dugu Ao, who was beside him, as the wind blew past his ears. Dugu Ao glanced at Mu Xian, who was lagging behind. A complicated expression flashed in his eyes as he slowly said, 100%. This answer startled Xiao Chen slightly. What trump card did Dugu Ao prepare? To think that Dugu Ao was even more confident than him. Don't look at me. I have not prepared any trump cards, Dugu Ao said with a faint smile. He knew what Xiao Chen was thinking, so he seemed to be telling the truth. Dugu Ao paused for a while. Thinking about how he was working with Xiao Chen now, it was not good to keep him in suspense. He answered honestly, I really do not have any trump cards. My trump card is myself. At that time, I will help you block the other opponents. You will be responsible for killing the mutated flying dragon snake and taking away the demonic essence core and the flower of life. All the opponents? Dugu Ao nodded heavily and said, all of them. Just when the death swamp was in sight, two figures descended and blocked the path of the four people. Chapter 12:12. It was Old Man Feng and Wang Yang, who had a grudge with Xiao Chen. For some reason, these two half-step Emperor Wu were not searching for their own fortuitous encounters. Instead, they were here to block Xiao Chen and Dugu Ao. As for why these two were together, it was not surprising. These two had grudges with Xiao Chen. It was normal for them to be together in this human-demon paradise. Scram, Dugu Ao said with a cold expression, his tone laced with murderous intent. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and said calmly, "Don't do anything foolish. With your strength, you cannot kill the four of us." Wang Yang looked at Xiao Chen, and heavy hatred flashed in his eyes. "Indeed, we cannot kill you. However, we can still block you for half a day." Old Man Feng smiled coldly and said, "With us around, the two of you can forget about obtaining the demonic essence pill." The hearts of Xiao Chen and Dugu Ao sank. They now knew why these two were here. They were here to annoy them, to delay them, not giving them a chance to participate in the fight for the mutated flying dragon snake. Hu Qi. The first and second ranks of the 10 outstanding talents, Pei Yan and Han Feng, flew over at lightning speed. When they saw this scene, they revealed gloating smiles. Soon, another 4 figures flashed by. It was Yi Ziheng leading the 3 outstanding talents, overtaking them as well. "It looks like heaven is helping us." Yi Ziheng turned his head back and smiled. The 3 behind him laughed as well. Dugu Ao's expression turned sullen. He sent a voice projection, "Xiao Chen, what should we do? If 2 half-step Emperor Wu are determined to delay you, it will be a headache and troublesome matter. What should I do? Is the most crucial step of advancing to Martial Emperor in 5 years going to fall to these 2 clowns? How hateful!" Xiao Chen suppressed the rage in his heart. As he looked at the 2, he enunciated every word clearly. "I'll say it one last time. Don't test my bottom line. Quickly scram. Otherwise, even if the 2 of you flee to the ends of the world, there will be no place for you to hide." "I, Xiao Chen, am a man of my word." The domineering aura of the Blue Dragon King burst forth from Xiao Chen's body. The Blue Dragon King emblem on his chest flashed. In a flash of light, his white robe turned into a dazzling green. Faintly, a formless blue dragon appeared behind Xiao Chen. Its eyes were staring at Wang Yang and Xiao Chen emotionlessly. That was the Blue Dragon King's insignia. The dragon might that had accumulated in the Dragon's Gate's holy land for more than 10,000 years burst out in Xiao Chen's rage. Old Man Feng and Wang Yang could not understand what was going on. Goosebumps rose all over their bodies as they panicked and wanted to retreat. But thinking that he was a half-step Emperor Wu after all, even if he couldn't beat these 4 people in front of him, he could definitely escape if he wanted to. Instantly, he regained his confidence. Wang Yang cursed, "So what if I touched your bottom line? I don't believe that you can really kill me. You want to take the demon essence pill? Let me tell you, no way." Without saying anything more, Xiao Chen unleashed all his suppressed killing qi and rage. Then, he swung his saber and chopped at Wang Yang. This saber strike in a rage instantly separated Wang Yang and Old Man Feng. "No matter what happens behind me, I have to kill Wang Yang today." Hatred flashed in Ao Jiao's eyes. At the crucial moment, this fellow still came to cause trouble. She could not tolerate this. 2 short sabers appeared in Xiao Chen's hands as she charged at Wang Yang with Little Yellow Feather. Mu Xian looked around, and a light flashed in her eyes. Then she sent a voice projection to Dugu Ao, "Go and help him. Kill that person quickly. Old Man Feng will definitely run away in fear. Can you deal with him alone?" "Don't worry. I can deal with him. I'll be fine," Mu Xian said with a smile when she saw the deeply hidden concern in Dugu Ao's eyes. "Be careful." Dugu Ao had always been decisive. After saying that, he joined the group that surrounded and attacked Wang Yang. Wang Yang, who was already suppressed by Xiao Chen, Ao Jiao, and Little Yellow Feather, felt so regretful that his intestines turned green. "Why are they all targeting me?" According to the original plan, Wang Yang and Old Man Feng would work together to fight the 4. After that, they would work together to break out of the encirclement and leave easily. That way, they would achieve their goal of delaying these 2. However, now that Xiao Chen made the first move, separating Wang Yang and Old Man Feng, the situation went beyond Wang Yang's plan. Originally, Wang Yang was already no match for just Xiao Chen. Now, with so many people, it was over. Even if he wanted to run, he could not. "Old Man Feng, come and save me." Wang Yang only lasted for a moment before wounds covered his body, causing him to vomit blood. However, how could Old Man Feng come and save Wang Yang? Mu Xian gave off a dreamy, hazy light. She used all sorts of means to hold Old Man Feng back. Old Man Feng was a famous lecher in the first place. When faced with Mu Xian's charm arts, he fell for it repeatedly, unable to shake her off. It had to be said that the half-step Emperor Wu's vast cultivation and strong recovery ability were indeed somewhat horrifying. Even though Wang Yang was being suppressed by the three of them and the Golden Crow from start to finish, he did not die quickly. At this moment, Wang Yang's hair was disheveled, and he appeared incredibly flustered. He tried to break out of the encirclement several times, but they blocked him. Wang Yang no longer had any of his earlier arrogance. The situation instantly flipped. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He begged for mercy a few times, but no one bothered with him. If one did not seek trouble, one would not die. Wang Yang did not even take the initiative to look for Xiao Chen, yet he ran over to disgust him. Such an outcome served him right. In its combat state, Little Yellow Feather's body grew several hundred times larger. Its glistening golden feathers gave off a sun-like light. When it opened its mouth, it spat out extremely dense solar true flame. Ao Jiao, who wanted to help Xiao Chen and Wang Yang quickly, entered her peak state. She did not even care about her injuries. There was also Dugu Ao at the side. When he suddenly made a move, he caused Wang Yang to vomit 3 liters of blood. Under such circumstances, even though Wang Yang was a half-step Emperor Wu, from the moment he fell into the encirclement, his fate was sealed. But from the moment he fell into the encirclement, his fate was sealed. There was only one word for him: death. 2 hours later, Xiao Chen executed a sure-kill attack. Blood spurted out, and a saber light flashed as he chopped off Wang Yang's head. This half-step Emperor Wu, who had clamored earlier, did not believe that Xiao Chen could kill him. Now, he died without a complete corpse, unable to come back to life. On the other side, Old Man Feng had already intended to retreat long ago. When he saw Wang Yang's headless corpse, he was startled. Not daring to linger, he quickly retreated. The group glanced at Old Man Feng but did not give chase. This was not the time to settle scores with him. After the interlude ended, Dugu Ao searched Wang Yang's corpse. However, he did not find anything useful, so he ignored it. As for Wang Yang's spatial ring, the group did not bother looking at it. After reaching the blue-robed Emperor realm, they had the ability to set restrictions in their spatial rings. Once they died, the restrictions would activate. If someone did not know about it and tried to forcefully take the things in the spatial ring, the restrictions would only injure them. They would only be injured by the explosion of the restriction, and some evil restrictions would even blow them up to death. With this, we completely lost the initiative to kill the mutated flying dragon snake. If the mutated flying dragon snake had already been killed, all our efforts would have been for naught, Dugu Ao said somewhat worriedly. Although the other party died, they had indeed achieved their goal, truly disgusting the two of them. Mu Xian said, "There's no rush. Let's recover first. Actually, let's think about it from another perspective. The mutated flying dragon snake is not easy to deal with. It would be good for these people to help us share the burden." Xiao Chen glanced at this girl. Earlier, this girl dared to get Dugu Ao to help while she held off Old Man Feng by herself. Not only was she strong, but she was also extraordinarily calm. This made others view her in a different light. She was also not a pretty flower vase that only knew how to use charm techniques. Let's rest first. We already lost the initiative. There is no need to worry about staying here for a while longer. Right now, we are not in a good state. If we rush over, it would be too rash. Xiao Chen agreed with Mu Xian's point of view. Without saying anything more, the group sat down cross-legged and closed their eyes to circulate their energies to recover. Even after Wang Yang's headless corpse died, it still gave off a strong aura that quickly faded away. This made the cultivators passing by feel a deep fear for the group sitting cross-legged, not daring to have any designs on them. A half-step Emperor Wu actually died here. If word got out, no one would believe it. After a while, Xiao Chen was the first to open his eyes. He was the fastest to recover. The others had not opened their eyes yet. Xiao Chun tossed aside the exhausted essence stone in his hand and looked in the direction of Death Swamp. Then he frowned slightly. For some reason, Xiao Chun felt uneasy at this moment. It was not because of the outstanding talents that had gone to the human demon sea in advance. Instead, it was because of some indescribable emotions. Xiao Chun closed his eyes and scanned his surroundings with his spiritual sense. In the end, everything was normal. They were all mixed-blood cultivators undergoing experiential training in the human-demon paradise. Actually, he also knew that at this level, as long as he wanted to, he could avoid detection from people of the same level. If a true expert wanted to hide, his divine sense would also be useless. The road to Emperor was to build a bridge, connecting the chasm between heaven and earth, reaching the other shore and successfully pushing open the Emperor's door. Now, his bridge was already half built, and he had reached the most crucial stage. He stood on the other side of the bridge and looked at the Emperor's door on the other side. He could clearly feel how dangerous the abyss below the chasm was. One wrong step and the bridge would be destroyed. They would fall into the abyss, consigned to eternal damnation. What's wrong? You look troubled. Are you still worried about the flower of life? Actually, that thing doesn't have much value to demonic hybrids. Even if it's taken, they'll find a way to get rid of it. Dugu Ao followed close behind. After recovering, he consoled Xiao Chun. You gained a lot in the 8-star dragon grave. As long as you are willing to pay the price, you will be able to buy it. Unlike me, if someone obtained the demonic garden pill, I would definitely keep it for myself and not auction it off. That was indeed the case. However, if that was the case, then there was no need for Xiao Chun to worry at all. Perhaps he was just being overly suspicious. Xiao Chun smiled and stopped thinking about this. He said, "Let's not talk about this for now. Let's talk about you. Why must you help this woman? You might even die." Sorrow flashed in Dugu Ao's eyes. He muttered, "It's a long story. Actually, I have a perfect demon bloodline. My bloodline is even stronger than the blood sword sovereigns from 50,000 years ago. As long as I'm willing to cultivate demonic chi and activate my innate talent, the so-called 10 outstanding talents are nothing to me." Chapter 12:13. But I don't like that kind of state. I once fell into madness and killed the people closest to me, so I swore that I would never use that bloodline power again. Mu Xian is the person who pulled me back from the brink of hell. Xiao Chun nodded to indicate that he understood. It was just like how Ling Yu once used her charm technique to pull him back from a massacre. Mu Xian might have used the same method to pull Dugu Ao back, making him resist the temptation of the blood demon's innate talent. However, based on Dugu Ao's expression, there seemed to be more to this than met the eye. Could it be that Dugu Ao managed to resist the temptation of the blood demon's innate talent but failed to resist Mu Xian's? Seeing Xiao Chun enter deep thought, Dugu Ao knew that Xiao Chun had already guessed it. He said, "It is not that I cannot resist her charm techniques. It is that she cannot pull me back without having a relationship with her." Xiao Chun clicked his tongue slightly. He did not expect there to be such a layer. "Now you know why I must return this favor. There is no precedent of a succubus demon surviving the great tribulation of wind and fire. I must help her obtain this mutated demonic essence core." Xiao Chun laughed. This fellow had a face full of arrogance and his eyes were at the top of his head. Who would have thought that he would be so serious about the matters between men and women? "But, are you just doing this to repay a debt of gratitude?" Xiao Chun asked with interest. Dugu Ao was about to answer when he saw Mu Xian's eyelashes twitch slightly due to nervousness. He knew that she had already recovered, so he shook his head and did not say anything more. Ao Jiao opened her eyes and grumbled, "At the most crucial moment, you suddenly stopped talking. Little sister Xian has been waiting for a long time." Mu Xian knew that she could not continue pretending. She blushed slightly and said, "Nonsense. How could I be eavesdropping? I don't know anything." Dugu Ao did not dwell on this topic. He said, "Let's go. There is not much time left." The death swamp was filled with soaring serpents, but there was only one true variant soaring serpent. After arriving at Death Swamp, There was no need to worry about not being able to find the mutated flying dragon snake. The aftershocks of the battle were the most intense. The mutated flying dragon snake would definitely be there. Boom boom boom. The entire swamp was shaking violently. Not only was the ground shaking, but the entire space was shaking. The moment Xiao Chen stepped into the death swamp, he could feel the might of the aftermath of the huge battle in the distance. Xiao Chen looked at the chaotic scene in the distance, and he was slightly shocked. There were at least 20 to 30 Paragon blue-robed emperors fighting the flying dragon serpent. There were even more people who wanted to fish in troubled waters, wanting to take advantage of the situation. So. The four of them flashed and increased their speed to the maximum. A moment later, they arrived at the center of the chaotic battle. A huge black snake was entrenched in the swamp. Its huge body was coiled up like a black mountain. He was engaged in a fierce battle with more than 30 peak great perfection blue-robed emperor. His powerful aura of death caused the sky to be filled with dark clouds that were frighteningly dense. The demon mixed blood teams temporarily formed an alliance. With Pei Yan's and Yi Ziheng's teams as the leaders, they ruthlessly attacked the mutated flying dragon serpent. Since the discovery of the mutated flying dragon serpent, this was probably the first time it faced so many encirclement. The temptation of the past could not attract such strong firepower. Dugu Ao said, "I don't like to be the fisherman at the end. There are too many variables. I like to have everything in my hands, confident of success. Xiao Chen, I'll block the people. I leave the flying dragon serpent to you. How confident are you?" A spark flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes, and the hot-bloodedness in his body surged. If it were any other day, he would definitely be the fisherman at the end. That way, the risk would be the lowest, and he would always be able to remain calm, able to advance or retreat. However, what he needed to obtain now was the flower of life. He could not afford any mishaps. Success or failure depended on this. That side would go crazy once, not giving him any way out. Xiao Chen slowly opened his mouth and gave his answer. "I'm completely confident. However, Xiao Chen, will block these people. You just do your best to kill the flying dragon serpent. Since you already swore not to use that bloodline power, then remember the oath and never use it." A cool breeze blew. Just as Dugu Ao was stunned, that white figure slowly descended and appeared in the middle of the intense battlefield. One person and one saber blocked 30 consummation blue-robed emperors. 10,000 dragons soared behind him. He's already guessed that I'm going to use that bloodline. Dugu Ao felt strangely touched. Honestly speaking, in this cooperation, Xiao Chen suffered a great loss. Hence, Dugu Ao took the initiative to block the other consummation blue-robed emperors, shouldering the greatest pressure himself. He did not want to take too much advantage of Xiao Chen. Unexpectedly, at the last moment, Xiao Chen beat him to it, stepping forward. The so-called boldness, the so-called heroism, is nothing more than this. However, how am I to repay this favor? Dugu Ao's face sank, and he stopped thinking. Let's go. Let's make our move quickly. Right after Dugu Ao spoke, he led Ao Jiao, Mu Xian, and Little Yellow Feather towards the mountain-sized mutated flying dragon serpent. Dugu Ao blocked the mutated flying dragon serpent behind Xiao Chen, preventing him from being attacked from both sides. While all this took a long time to describe, it actually happened in an instant. From the moment Xiao Chen charged in to when Dugu Ao led his people in, it took less than half a breath of time. Amid the intense battlefield, Xiao Chen stood upright while holding his saber. With one saber strike, he blocked the 30-peak consummation blue-robed emperors led by Pei Yan and Yi Ziheng. Such a turn of events stunned everyone. The countless blue-robed emperor-level mixed-blood cultivators, who were preparing to fish in troubled waters, also showed shocked expressions, not understanding what was going on. Damn, who's this? Is he tired of living? That is that white-clad bladesman, the youth who humiliated old Feng outside the stone steel earlier. So, it is him. However, even if old Feng is not a match for him, it is still too much of a stretch for him to block 30-odd peak consummation blue-robed emperors alone. Who knows? However, this might not be a bad thing for us. This will make things more lively. A group of spectating blue-robed emperors hid in the shadows of Death Swamp as they discussed in soft voices. Their eyes filled with excitement. Although they did not think that Shao Chen could block 30-odd peak consummation blue-robed emperors, they were planning to fish in troubled waters in the first place. The more chaotic it was, the better. The more chaotic it was, the more they liked it. A faint black flame burned on Pei Yan's body as he looked at Shao Chen, who was soaring with 10,000 dragons behind him. He thought to himself, this fellow came a step too late and lost the initiative. To think that he thought of such a radical method. He really does not care about his life. Rage filled Yi Ziheng's face as he shouted, "Are you seeking death? Quickly move aside. Otherwise, no matter where you come from, you can forget about leaving the human demon paradise today. Quickly scram." When the 30-odd peak consummation blue-robed emperors saw Dugu Ao's group fighting the injured mutated flying dragon snake behind them, they were so angry that they wanted to kill someone. How could there be such a good thing? Their group had worked so hard to kill the mutated flying dragon snake for a long time, and this fellow wanted to take advantage of them the moment he arrived. The vast auras merged, nearly distorting space as they pressed down on Shao Chen. The formless auras were like a majestic mountain range pressing down on everyone, making it hard for them to breathe. Shao Chen held his breath and focused, showing a calm expression. As he looked at the 30-odd peak consummation blue-robed emperors, he became unprecedentedly focused. "You want me to scram? Sure. However, you have to ask the saber in my hand first." Shao Chen pointed his saber forward and unleashed his 60% comprehended lightning saber soul. The tip of the saber contained Shao Chen's unyielding will. He had to obtain the flower of life at all costs. This was the most crucial step of his emperor's road. He was willing to risk his life for it. Attack together and kill him. Pei Yan frowned slightly. He could feel Shao Chen's sharpness, which was unparalleled. He did not dare to be careless. The 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors each executed a killing move and swung at Shao Chen, who was blocking their way. Shao Chen swung his saber at Shao Chen, who was blocking his way. Instantly, multicolored lights filled the air. Saber lights and sword images flashed endlessly. All sorts of mysterious phenomena fused together as attacks filled the sky, causing the space around them to tremble violently. The fluctuations of the power of the world were too chaotic. Continuous explosions rang out in the Death Swamp, rumbling endlessly. Just these aftershocks blasted several flying dragon snakes out of the swamp and killed them. Blood immediately sprayed into the air. Amidst the chaotic sky, the world lost its color, mixed with dust, and a rain of blood fell. The blue-robed emperors unleashed such concentrated killing moves at the same time. They truly thought highly of Shao Chen. Two beams of fiery light, one golden and one white, shot out of Shao Chen's eyes. The origin flames of the lunar true flame and the solar true flame appeared dazzlingly and chased each other in the air. In an instant, they formed a Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Two extreme flames of completely different attributes merged perfectly with the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Yin-yang, the 8 trigrams, the 4 divisions, and the 5 elements. All sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared together with the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram, releasing a large expanse of golden light and sealing off space. The Taiji yin-yang flame diagram was like a wall of the 5 elements, blocking all the incoming killing moves. This time, Shao Chen did not hold back at all, using his origin flame to drive the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. In the past, Shao Chen had not used his origin flame for the solar true flame and the lunar true flame. However, this magnificent Taiji yin-yang flame diagram was stronger than any of the previous ones. However, it was still somewhat forceful to face 30-odd inferior-grade profound martial techniques. If the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram was strong enough, it could instantly reflect all the attacks back. This could throw these 30 consummation blue-robed emperors into chaos and injure them on the spot. Then, Shao Chen would gain the upper hand. Even so, this scene completely surpassed everyone's expectations. Solar True Flame and Lunar True Flame could actually merge and block so many profound martial techniques. This stunned the crowd, who were preparing to kill Shao Chen in one go. Kasi. The Taiji yin-yang flame diagram shattered, and all sorts of attacks rained down on Xiaochen. However, their might had already weakened significantly, and the various mysterious phenomena no longer existed. Xiaochen stood upright while holding his saber. His feet pushed off the ground in the air. With every step he took, saber images filled the air. Thunder roared in the sky, tearing down strands of purple lightning. Thousands of dragon images roared ferociously. 12 saber strikes in one step. With 3 steps, Xiaochen broke all the profound martial techniques. Xiaochen's figure moved among the lightning dragons and saber lights like he was taking a leisurely stroll. Every move he made followed his heart's desire, leaving no traces behind. Such a scene was very shocking. Chapter 12:14. Is that all you are capable of? However, that is not enough to chase me away. I have a saber technique that I would like to share with everyone. Breaking the inferior-grade profound martial techniques that filled the sky exceeded everyone's expectations. Unexpectedly, when facing the 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors, Xiaochen forcefully chose to attack. Xiaochen's heart entered a state of emptiness. To him, the world was pitch black. Aside from him, there was no one else. In Xiaochen's world, space was sealed. Time stopped flowing. The entire world was quiet. It was like the primal chaos had yet to develop. Aside from darkness, there was nothing else. Whoosh! A strand of saber light appeared and tore through this dark world. Color reappeared in Xiaochen's eyes. He saw the mocking smiles on the faces of Pei Yan, Yi Ziheng, and the others. The 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors all looked at him coldly with mocking smiles. They were laughing at Xiaochen for overestimating himself. After gaining an advantage, he did not obediently defend and did his best to delay. To think that Xiaochen was seeking death by charging at them. This is exactly what I wanted. When you arrive, we will surround you and delay you. Even if you are as strong as the old black iron monster and can kill Emperor Wu, even if you are as strong as the old black iron monster, you will still die. Under the encirclement of 30-odd peak consummation quasi-emperors, Xiaochen would only be ground to death. There would not be a second result. My path, my pride, my glory. There is no need to say more. It all depends on this saber strike. When Xiaochen swung his saber, all sorts of mysterious phenomena flashed. Poems of praise fell from the sky. When Xiaochen swung his saber, all sorts of mysterious phenomena flashed. Poems of praise fell from the sky. The various things that happened in the past turned into mysterious phenomena along with the poems, appearing everywhere. In Mo City, during the promise of 10 years, Xiaochen used the 9th Heaven's Thunder formation to defeat strong enemies, kneeled to his father thrice, and left in a huff. In the Tianmu Emperor's grave, he laughed loudly and issued a challenge to all the great Qin nation's scions, becoming famous for the first time. In the battle at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, he announced Xiaochen's name and defeated the great Qin nation's noble clan scions, achieving consecutive victories and starting the legend of the white-robed bladesman. In the ancient desolate land, he was neither humble nor arrogant. He broke the 1,000-year-old record and obtained 100 consecutive victories. In the 5-nation youth competition, Xiaochen remained unknown. However, he defeated the outstanding talents of the various places and stood at the peak of the Sky Dome realm, becoming a king true dragon. In the Kunlun realm, he swept through all the younger generation and was conferred as the Blue Dragon. 10,000 dragons soared in the Cloud Sea domain. He instantly killed 8 quasi-emperors after being destroyed. In the Heavenly Starry Ocean's 4 Seas Hero Gathering, Xiaochen defeated all the outstanding talents in one move in an instant. 13 years of searching for the path, experiencing all kinds of loneliness and pain, casting a heroic name in the world, there is no one like me in the world. Filled with lofty sentiments, Xiaochen brought out the instant of glory of this saber strike to its limits. All sorts of poems and mysterious phenomena formed a vast, boundless, glorious, and majestic epic. King, Qin, the Shao, Qin, that all, King Shao martial, Qin, he, Shao, break. Xiao Chen looked coldly at the people in the painting, who still had mocking expressions on their faces. Then he opened his clenched left hand and gently opened it. Suddenly, the painting shattered, and the sealed space shattered piece by piece. It was like a broken mirror, shattering into countless pieces. The 30-odd people in the painting did their best to protect themselves. However, they were still riddled with wounds. They vomited blood and got knocked back by the power of space. Their hair was disheveled, and they were covered in wounds. The people watching in the dark were all dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen alone forced back 30-odd peak blue-robed emperors. With this move, half of the 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors could no longer stand up. Some of the weaker ones even had their bodies split open. The wounds looked very horrifying. If not for the demon mixed bloods possessing strong physical attributes and the fact that they were all consummation blue-robed emperors, all of them would have died. Aside from peak characters like the 10 outstanding talents, most of the remaining 15 or 16 demon mixed bloods had lost most of their combat prowess. The might of one saber strike was so strong. Right now, Xiao Chen was incredibly tired. Sweat covered his forehead. This move exhausted not only his law energy but also his mental energy. Xiao Chen felt completely drained. However, there were only two feelings in his heart: carefree. That's right, carefree. After comprehending the instant of glory once more, he had finally reached the lesser mastery realm from its original level of mastery to the next level. Even if most of the blue-robed emperors were lucky enough to obtain a medial-grade profound martial technique, they would find it difficult to execute it even once. However, Xiao Chen was able to go from being able to withdraw and release it as he pleased to small perfection. Describing such people as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns was insufficient to match Xiao Chen's comprehension ability. What small perfection meant was that one could bring out 30% of a medial-grade profound martial technique smite. Several of these people could bring out only 50 to 60% of an inferior-grade profound martial technique smite, not to mention a medial-grade profound martial technique. Being suppressed like this was not an injustice at all. The blue-robed emperors watching from afar were all startled into stupefaction. The deterrence of this move was simply too great. Xiao Chen looked coldly at the 10-odd people standing in front. The mockery on these people's faces had long since vanished, replaced by deep fear. Damn it! He actually cultivated a medial-grade profound martial technique to small perfection. As the 10-odd people watched Xiao Chen's clothes flutter, they gritted their teeth in hatred. How could they have imagined that a peak great perfection blue-robed emperor could force them, a group of consummation blue-robed emperors, into such a sorry state? As Xiao Chen stood in the air, the formless tyranny of a ruler spread out from his body, stirring up changes in the sky and stirring up clouds and winds. Xiao Chen's gaze was incredibly sharp, revealing a strong state of mind. No one dared to look directly at him. These people simply did not know what kind of obsession Xiao Chen had with this flower of life. Without the demonic essence core, it would only be slightly more difficult for these outstanding talents to clear their great tribulation of wind and fire. However, without the flower of life, Xiao Chen could not advance to martial emperor. Everything would be for naught. Xiao Chen's dreams and hopes would all be for naught. Xiao Chen's words of risking his life was not a joke at all. Before such a strong aura, the remaining 10-odd people did not dare to act rashly. For a moment, a stalemate appeared. It was hard to imagine that Xiao Chen, whom no one thought highly of, could block 30-odd consummation blue-robed emperors with just this saber in his hand. Drip, drip, drip. The blood rain in the sky mixed with dust, still falling endlessly. In fact, it even intensified. The shock waves of this instant of glory were more than 1 or 2 levels stronger than the shock waves of the killing moves that those people combined to execute earlier. Who knew how many ordinary flying dragon snakes had died in the swamp after suffering an unexpected calamity? This made the blood rain even sharper. When it landed on the people, it quickly drenched their clothes and dyed their white robes red. Amid the blood rain, Xiao Chen's eyes remained cold. He allowed the rain to land on his body, not showing any intention of retreating. Time slowly passed. It looked like Dugu Ao and the others were about to kill the already severely injured mutated flying dragon snake. The hearts of Pei Yen and the others grew even more restless amid this blood rain. They wanted to charge over several times. However, as long as they met Xiao Chen's gaze, looked at the people lying on the ground moaning in pain, and saw that boundlessly glorious mysterious phenomenon from earlier, they would feel weak in their hearts for some reason. For some reason, they all felt weak in their hearts and did not dare to act rashly. Even the strongest Pei Yen was no exception. After being struck head-on by that instant of glory, Pei Yen only had 70% of his combat prowess. Based on Pei Yan's guess, if he had to bear the full might of this instant of glory alone, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. Only the heavens knew if this fellow would risk his life to launch another attack. He definitely will. As Pei Yen looked at Xiao Chen's eyes, he felt a chill in his heart. This fellow definitely will. As long as someone dared to take a step forward, even if Pei Yen had to pay with his life, he would drag that person to hell. Speaking of which, it was laughable. No matter what, Pei Yen was the strongest of the 10 outstanding talents of the human demon territory. However, before this outsider, before this youth who was more than 10 years younger than him, Pei Yen actually showed cowardice. The companions beside him could not give him any sense of security at all. This was a kind of grievance. Pei Yen clenched his right hand so tightly that his fingers nearly dug into his flesh. Pei Yen held back his anger, his entire body trembling. However, he still did not dare to step forward. If even Pei Yen was like that, then there was no need to mention the others standing beside him. However, they were not willing to leave just like that. Hence, the situation remained in a stalemate. Unable to advance or retreat, this was the current situation of this group of outstanding talents of the human demon sea. Pooh! Just at this moment, a mournful wail came from the death swamp, where the blood rain poured down. After paying a heavy price, Dugu Ao's group finally chopped off the huge mutated flying dragon snake's head. In that instant, blood gushed into the sky like a fountain, causing the blood rain, which had weakened slightly, to fall ferociously once more. The 3,000-year-old mutated flying dragon snake died just like that. Berserk energy spread out. This energy formed strong gales that blew wantonly in the swamp, sounding like the wails of ghosts and the howls of wolves. Everyone was well aware of what the blood-curdling screams meant. In an instant, the stalemate broke. The temptation of the demonic essence pill finally defeated the fear in the hearts of everyone present. The 10-odd consummation blue-robed emperors in front, and an even larger number of blue-robed emperors in the distance were like a pack of wolves that had been waiting for a long time on a grassy plain. At this moment, their eyes lit up and they all moved. However, just as they stood up, Xiao Chen, who was drenched and covered in blood, swung his saber and shouted in rage. "Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Who dares to move?" Along with this roar of rage were 10,000 bolts of lightning. Xiao Chen infused his peak will of thunder into these 3 words. The instant Xiao Chen spoke, the resplendent and dazzling lightning talisman in his sea of consciousness vanished completely. It turned into a bolt of lightning containing the peak will of thunder and tore through the sky at the same time. What kind of scene would that be? At this moment, it was like the end of the world. The indescribable electric light made this colorful world lose all color. Only black and white remained. Chapter 12:15. Under the reflection of this electric light, Xiao Chen's actions of brandishing his saber and roaring appeared desolate and tyrannical. If those who stood up and moved were a pack of wolves, then Xiao Chen was the king of beasts, an overlord that inspired fear in others. When an overlord raged, who dared to move? The many blue-robed emperors, whose rationality was clouded by desire, were all forced back by this thunderous roar. Even the demon elites, who were as strong as the 10 outstanding talents, were startled by this roar. They did not dare to move rashly, becoming distracted. Some of the more timid and weak-willed people fell into the air. Their legs went numb, and they fell to the ground, frightened into trembling and retreating continuously. Who dared to move? No one dared to move. With one roar, Shao Chun scared off hundreds of blue-robed emperors. Such an effect naturally had something to do with the fact that Shao Chun had infused his peak will of thunder into his voice. The peak will of thunder was already on the verge of materializing illusory. When combined with his roar, it could place immense mental pressure on others. This was especially so for lightning. This attribute was berserk in the first place and symbolized the heavenly Tao's punishment. When the lightning vanished, Shao Chun looked coldly at the surrounding group of people. Then he pushed off the air and flew towards the snake head in the air. A pure white flower bloomed on the snake's head, looking somewhat alluring in this gloomy world filled with death chi. This flower, which exuded life force, was very eye-catching. This was the flower of life that Shao Chun dreamed of. On the other side, Dugu Ao and the others took advantage of the time when Shao Chun held back the many blue-robed emperors to successfully obtain the mutated demonic essence pill. Once Shao Chun obtained the flower of life, the goal of this trip to the human-demon paradise would be accomplished. Wounds riddled Ao Jiao's body, all from the mutated flying dragon snake. But at this moment, she didn't feel any pain. Seeing Shao Chun getting closer and closer to the tongue, Ao Jiao felt nothing but joy in her heart. Advancing to martial emperor in 5 years had always been a huge mountain pressing down on Shao Chun's heart. Today, he finally saw a trace of hope. The goal she had been looking forward to for a long time had finally been fulfilled. How could she not be happy? Watching Shao Chun fly towards the head of the soaring serpent, the blue-robed emperor that had been scared away by Shao Chun did not dare to act rashly. Their imposing manner had long since been completely destroyed by Shao Chun's explosive shout in the depths of their hearts. Amidst the blood rain, tens of thousands of lightning bolts illuminated the world, leaving only black and white. That scene would be unforgettable for them for the rest of their lives. It would become an indelible shadow in their hearts. Just when everyone thought that no one could stop Shao Chun from snatching the flower of life, a voice suddenly rang out. Suddenly, 2 ghostly figures appeared in the air. These 2 ghostly figures were hidden in the death chi in space, looking like they had appeared out of nowhere. One of them sent a palm strike at Shao Chun. When the 2 palm strikes flew out, they seemed to drive all the death chi in the entire death swamp, shaking the world and making it tremble endlessly. The 2 huge black palms were like demonic claws as they attacked Shao Chun. As long as Shao Chun continued to snatch the flower of life, he would be struck by these 2 palms. He would not have any chance to dodge. Clearly, the 2 Ghost Race Half-Step Emperor Wu were trying to force back Shao Chun, preventing him from obtaining the flower of life. If Shao Chun dared to take it, he would have to endure the damage from these 2 palms. Furthermore, the demonic claws were so dense that they seemed to have materialized. Wherever they passed, cracks would appear in the space around them. From this, one could imagine just how powerful they were. The Ghost Race's Half-Step Emperor Wu, the blue-robed emperor and the 10 outstanding talents were all stunned at the same time. They could not understand why the Ghost Race experts of the Kunlun continent, who were tens of millions of kilometers away, would come to the human-demon paradise. In the history of the human-demon sea, such a situation had never happened before. Furthermore, there were 2 of them at the same time. However, that was not all. 2 ancient coffins flew out of the death swamp at the same time. The coffins landed with a pa sound, and the 2 corpse race half-step Emperor Wu with cold expressions opened their eyes. Without saying a word, they walked out of the coffins and started attacking the surrounding demon blue-robed emperors. This was the absolute difference in strength. In an instant, several human demon quasi-emperors died on the spot before they could figure out the situation. Boom! A sagely song rang out, and 2 golden pillars of light descended from the sky. The holy light illuminated the dark death swamp. 2 deity race half-step Emperor Wu experts with white hair and black eyes descended from the sky. They formed hand seals and sent down waves of holy light. Strong mental energy martial techniques gave off resplendent lights as they landed on the ground. Miserable shrieks rang out everywhere. This caused the blue-robed emperor mixed blood below to flee, not daring to remain for long. 6 human half-step Emperor Wu figures appeared at the edge of the death swamp in the distance. These 6 wore masks, preventing others from seeing their faces clearly. However, the strong auras of their bodies were all terrifyingly strong. With one look, it was clear that they were not ordinary half-step Emperor Wu. With just 2 steps, they arrived at the scene. Similarly, without saying a word, he attacked the surrounding demonic human quasi-emperors without hesitation. The expressions of Pei Yan and the others changed dramatically. No matter how this group of outstanding talents thought about it, they would never have expected so many half-step Emperor Wu to appear in the human-demon paradise. Furthermore, they were not ordinary half-step Emperor Wu. Even among half-step Emperor Wu, they were top-notch existences. The status of the demons was special. They were mixed bloods of the deep abyss demonic race and the human race. Furthermore, the demons had always been the enemy of all the races of the Kunlun continent. If not for the Blood Sword Sovereign, a demon-human expert, appearing out of nowhere 50,000 years ago and being ridiculously strong, resulting in an agreement with the 5 major races of the Kunlun continent, the demons would have been wiped out long ago. The demonic humans had long been wiped out, they would never exist again. Even so, the current Kunlun realm was still ruled by the 5 major races. The peak experts of the 5 major races would not feel any guilt coming over to kill demon mixed-blood cultivators. They would not fear the demon mixed-blood cultivators seeking trouble. If they dared to seek trouble, having the demon bloodline was a sin in the first place. In terms of peak strength, any prime of the continent's races could easily slaughter all the demon mixed-blood cultivators. Let's go. These people are trying to clear the area. They do not want others to see what they are doing. When Pei Yan saw that the half-step Emperor Wu did not care about the demon mixed-blood cultivators fleeing, he immediately guessed the result. Pei Yan glanced at Xiao Chen, who was being held back by the 2 ghost race half-step Emperor Wu. As Pei Yan retreated, he somewhat understood what was going on. These people's target was the white-robed bladesman in the air. With this thought, Pei Yan could not help being horrified. What kind of existence was this fellow? Unexpectedly, he offended so many half-step Emperor Wu experts. As Pei Yan thought about this, he did not stop moving, retreating with all his might. Although Pei Yan could defeat some half-step Emperor Wu, they were ordinary half-step Emperor Wu like Old Man Feng and Wang Yang. If he ran into a true half-step Emperor Wu expert, he would die. If Pei Yan did not leave now, he would not be able to even if he wanted to. Such a strange turn of events happened in an instant. No matter who it was, no one would have expected such a scene. When Xiao Chen, who was in the air, saw the 2 ghost race half-step Emperor Wu appear, his expression changed. Before coming, Xiao Chen had been feeling uneasy. He knew that the flower of life would not be so easy to obtain. However, when he saw such a large formation, he could not help feeling surprised. How could Xiao Chen be capable of provoking so many major characters to make a move at the same time, sending 10-odd half-step Emperor Wu to deal with him? There was no other purpose than to prevent Xiao Chen from advancing to Martial Emperor, to prevent him from obtaining the flower of life. If Xiao Chen gave up now and dodged these 2 horrifying demonic claws, letting the other party obtain the flower of life, nothing would happen to him. After the other party destroyed the flower of life, they would leave calmly. In their opinion, a descendant of the Qing Emperor who could not advance to Martial Emperor would not be worth paying attention to. It was just a meteor. What was there to fear? However, if Xiao Chen did not give up and still wanted to obtain the flower of life, then enduring the damage from these 2 demonic claws would be a painful start. The 10-odd half-step Emperor Wu would not give Xiao Chen a chance to speak. They would beat him half to death and use the most brutal method to snatch away the flower of life. It looked like the result would be the same regardless of whether Xiao Chen chose the former or the latter. He would not be able to obtain the flower of life in the end. However, even if the result was the same, Xiao Chen would choose the latter without hesitation. The reason was none other than his attitude, a flame that never extinguished in his heart. It was a dream, a hope, and an unyielding faith. Blue Dragon Battle Armor, materialize. A resolute light flashed on Xiao Chen's delicate face. He materialized the Blue Dragon Battle Armor and flew towards the Flower of Life without hesitation. The path to Martial Emperor involved risking one's life. Even if one was consigned to eternal damnation, one would never give up. After materializing the blue dragon battle armor, Xiaochen leaped into the air and plucked the flower of life from the mutated flying dragon snake's head. Then, he placed it in his universe ring. However, after Xiaochen completed this series of actions, the demonic palms that the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wu sent out also attacked from the front and back. It looked like two palms were pressing together as they struck Xiaochen. Buzz! Space trembled, swaying left and right like a clock. Formless spatial winds surged out in all directions. The shockwaves spread throughout the entire death swamp. The ground cracked, and all the flying dragon snakes in the swamp shattered. After this battle, the flying dragon snakes in the human-demon paradise would probably all die. Dugu Ao took the initiative to block Ao Jiao and Mu Xian, helping them block the shockwaves from the spatial tremors. Before the shockwaves scattered, a figure wearing azure-patterned battle armor descended from the air like a sharp arrow, arriving where Dugu Ao and the other two were. Pu Si. After Xiaochen landed, he vomited a mouthful of blood. He clenched his teeth with a pale complexion as he endured the intense pain from his injuries. Cracks appeared on Xiaochen's battle armor. However, as he circulated the blue dragon vital chi in his body, the cracks on the battle armor healed at a visible rate. After the blue dragon body nourishing art reached the third layer, the blue dragon battle armor that he materialized already allowed Xiaochen's defense to rival that of Emperor Wu's golden body. Although Xiaochen was severely injured, he could still stand and fight against the peak strikes of these two half-step Emperor Wu, who used the death energy of this place to execute them. Chapter 12:16. Xiaochen. Ao Jiao stepped forward and asked anxiously, her eyes filled with worry. Xiaochen turned around and smiled faintly, indicating that he was fine. Then, while Ao Jiao was not paying attention, he waved his right hand and quickly pulled Ao Jiao into the immortal spirit ring. Xiaochen sealed the exit of the ring and vomited another mouthful of blood. Mu Xian stepped forward and placed her hand on Xiaochen's shoulder. A clump of pink light appeared in her palm and quickly entered Xiaochen's body. Xiaochen immediately felt all the pain disappear. However, his injuries still had not healed. This should be the innate skill of the Eros demons, which temporarily numbed the pain. Now, not a single demon mixed blood remained in the previously bustling death swamp. The various half-step Emperor Wus pressed forward, step by step. They formed an encirclement, sealing off all paths of retreat for Xiaochen's group. There were a total of 12 half-step Emperor Wus. Their strong auras pressed down, making breathing difficult. Normally, even if Xiaochen and Dugu Ao ran into one of these half-step Emperor Wus, they would not dare to say that they could easily defeat them. Now that there were 12, there was no hope at all. Xiaochen looked at them one by one. The two deity race half-step Emperor Wus should have been sent by Emperor Forsaken. Needless to say, the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wus were definitely sent by the Dongyue Ghost Emperor. Naturally, the two corpse race half-step Emperor Wus were sent by the Xingtian Emperor. As for the six-masked human experts, the corners of Xiaochen's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a mocking expression. Since they already sent people out, what was the point of wearing masks? Masks could cover their faces, but could they hide the aura of their holy beast martial spirits? As soon as the six half-step Emperor Wu of the human race appeared, Xiaochen knew that they were the three holy lord of the three holy masters' land. It was just that the other party didn't want to shed their last layer of cordiality, so they put on a mask for their own people. Thinking about it, it was really laughable. At the same time, in a boundlessly distant place, where the Thunder King was in closed-door cultivation, Bushin Palace in the Kunlun Continent's central province, the Thunder King was sitting cross-legged and talking to the two shadows in front of him. One of the masters of the image was the Haotian Martial Emperor, the new prime of the Kunlun Continent's human race. The other was the Fox King, the strongest martial emperor of the Fiend race, also a prime. Thunder King, are we really not going to help this time? The projection of the Haotian Emperor asked worriedly. Naturally, the matter he was referring to was the matter of the primes sending people to stop Xiaochen from obtaining the Flower of Life. The deity race's Emperor Forsaken and the ghost race's Dongyue Ghost Emperor and Xingtian could reverse the heavenly Dao and calculate Shao Chen's tribulation point. Naturally, they could do so as well. The Thunder King's aged face remained calm. He said indifferently, "There is no need to make a move. Just let nature take its course. A tribulation point is a tribulation point. If we purposely do it, it will only make the tribulation point more difficult. There is no point in doing so." After a pause, the Thunder King continued, "Furthermore, even I cannot figure out the tribulation point this time. There are too many variables, truly puzzling." The Haotian Emperor and the Fox King looked at each other in surprise. The Fox King asked tentatively, "What variables?" The Thunder Sovereign shook his head and said, "I can only make out one person. There is another one. No matter how I look at it, I cannot make out anything. That person clearly does not have a dense luck like Shao Chen does. However, he is unfathomable. The Haotian Emperor was still a little worried. There is really no need to make a move. This time, even the three holy masters can't help but make a move. The Thunder King nodded firmly. There is no need to make a move. They also know where the bottom line is. They will not act recklessly. After the conversation ended, the Haotian Emperor and the Fox King's projections flickered a few times before they disappeared from the secret chamber, leaving the Thunder King alone. After the two left, the Thunder King's appearance aged even more. He muttered, "What exactly is the second variable? Why can't I figure it out at all?" After saying that, the Thunder King started calculating again, feeling dissatisfied. The life force in his body drained quickly. Strands of dense life force almost materialized and came out of the top of his head. After a while, the Thunder King opened his eyes. He saw a youth flickering with black and white lights with a sword on his back. However, that youth's face was blurry, he could not see it clearly no matter what. The Thunder King was dissatisfied. He formed hand seals and drained even more life force. Suddenly, the Thunder King vomited a mouthful of blood. He finally saw that youth's face clearly, saw the pure golden flames burning in the youth's eyes. The Thunder King immediately revealed an expression of understanding. He muttered, "So, that is the case. You also left a backup plan." In Death Swamp, Shao Chen looked at the 12 half-step Emperor Wu in the air. Then he said slowly, "Duao, take Miss Mu and leave. They are here for me. They will not stop you." When Duguao heard this, he smiled. Then he looked at the 12 half-step Emperor Wu in the air as well. He asked, "Brother Shao, have you decided to give up? Have I given up?" Naturally, he did not. However, when facing these 12 half-step martial emperors, every one of them was no weaker than him. Even with that plume feather, it was impossible for me to break out of this encirclement. It was not that Shao Chen was undervaluing himself. Rather, the situation before him was truly unresolvable. All Shao Chen could do was choose an attitude, fight with his life on the line. Even if he died miserably on the path of seeking enlightenment, he would persevere to the end, never giving up. Duguao turned his head and smiled. "Interesting. It turns out that Brother Shao has moments of helplessness as well. Your expression clearly shows that you are seeking death. If this is not giving up, what is it?" After Duguao spoke, his expression suddenly turned incredibly serious. "You once said that there are some oaths that should not be broken after they are made. Let me tell you this as well. There are some things that you choose to persevere on and never give up on. I, Duguao, will help you block these 12 half-step Emperor Wu. Xian, help me hold him down." Before Shao Chen could react, Mu Xian's hands landed on his shoulders. While he was distracted, she used the innate martial technique of the Eros demon race to trap him where he stood. Far away, Pei Yan's group, who had already fled far away, extended their mental perception to the maximum, quietly observing everything here. Several people who sensed the auras of half-step Emperor Wu all rushed over. Then, they silently observed from a distance. However, they were extremely cautious. No one dared to advance rashly. Instead, they approached to watch the show. 12 foreign half-step Emperor Wu appeared in the human-demon paradise at the same time. This was something rarely seen since ancient times. Some of the half-step martial emperor experts revealed horrified expressions when they heard the descriptions of the newcomers from the people who had escaped. Based on these descriptions, these half-step Emperor Wu seemed to be the direct subordinates of the primes of the Kunlun continent. This was the intention of the primes. Some primes wanted to make a move on that white-robed bladesman. Immediately, these people no longer dared to think about going to Death Swamp to watch the show. Even the old black iron monster, a ruthless person who could kill Emperor Wu, did not dare to act rashly. The identity of that white-robed bladesman piqued everyone's curiosity. What kind of existence could he be for so many primes to make a move at the same time? Everyone had their own opinions, but no one could give an accurate answer. Inside Death Swamp, Xiao Chen was conscious, but he could not move his body. Mu Xian used a strange technique to paralyze Xiao Chen's body. Strands of pink energy entered Xiao Chen's body and slowly healed his injuries. This did not look like a technique for trapping people. Instead, it looked more like an Eros demon's healing martial technique. Dugu Ao looked at the 12 half-step Emperor Wu experts in the air. Then he stepped forward and blocked Xiao Chen, silently expressing his stance. The deity race expert in the air smiled coldly and arrogantly. Interesting. A mixed-blood bastard dares to meddle in other people's business. Do you know who you are facing now? Even the human demon sees Emperor Wu did not dare to stop us. To think that a bastard like you dares to stand up for him. Quickly scram. Even if your father, Dugu Kuang, came, he would not dare to interfere in today's matter. Take your woman and leave immediately. Don't blame us for not warning you. It seemed like Dugu Ao's clan was not simple in the human demon sea. The 12 half-step Emperor Wu experts, who had been silent all this while, all shouted coldly when they saw Dugu Ao step forward. They did not make a move immediately. Far away, the many cultivators paying close attention to this place were all stunned when they saw Dugu Ao step forward. Is he stupid? To think that he is facing 12 half-step Emperor Wu experts at the same time for the sake of an outsider. It's over. He is really tired of living. We already told him to leave, but he is still not leaving. These demon mixed-blood cultivators felt that Dugu Ao's actions were not worth it. However, when some people heard Dugu Ao being called a bastard, they felt a strange bitterness in their hearts. No matter how proud they were or how talented they were, in the eyes of this group of outsiders, demon mixed-blood cultivators were still considered bastards. Dugu Ao's lips curled up slightly. He smiled somewhat self-mockingly and said, "Bastard? What you said is not wrong. I, Dugu Ao, am indeed a bastard. There is nothing to deny. I have the blood of the deep abyss demon race flowing in my body. However, my heart will always be proud. Even if I am a bastard, I am still 100 times, 10,000 times stronger than you bunch of shameless people who use numbers to bully others. There are some things that you bunch of people will never understand. The persistence and dreams of some people cannot be tarnished by you bunch of lackeys." Right after Dugu Ao spoke, his eyes suddenly turned scarlet. A strong wind blew, and an incomparably horrifying aura surged out from his body. A demon seemed to be released from Dugu Ao's body. His body turned into a greedy funnel. Dugu Ao's body absorbed the boundless demonic chi in the death swamp. This caused his aura to soar. After a while, he actually managed to block the auras of 12 half-step blue-robed emperors by himself. Suddenly, Dugu Ao attacked ferociously. A demon mixed-blood cultivator corpse flew over from the ground. Dugu Ao opened his mouth and bit the corpse's neck. In the blink of an eye, Dugu Ao sucked up all the blood in the corpse. Dugu Ao's hair turned scarlet and grew wildly. Soon, Dugu Ao's hair reached Dugu Ao's waist. His clothes tore, and a pair of scarlet, fleshy wings grew on his back. With a gentle flap, he hovered in the air. Chapter 12:17. When the mysterious red-clad man hiding in the darkness saw this scene, he was greatly startled. Unexpectedly, the bloodline of a demonic human had reached king grade and even awakened the rare blood demon transformation, the blood demon transformation. Several of the blood demon's demon monarch's bloodline were only at this level, perhaps even weaker. Such a change stunned the 12 half-step Emperor Wu. Unexpectedly, an unremarkable mixed-blood bastard could erupt with such a startling aura. Bastard, are you thinking of overturning the heavens? In the sky, the two deity race half-step Emperor Wu snorted coldly. Then, they attacked at the same time, forming hand seals and sending out mental energy martial techniques. The light in the sky condensed into a divine sword, punishing Dugu-Ao. Dugu-Ao turned around and glared. A red light flashed in his eyes, spreading a berserk murderous intent, striking fear in others. With this glare, the two deity race half-step martial emperors felt an indescribable horror. Overturning the heavens? I never thought of it. However, today you want to bully me, Dugu-Ao, with numbers? I absolutely will not allow that. Mu Xian, bring Xiaoqun away. Dugu-Ao maintained his last bit of rationality. After he spoke, he waved his hand and drew out most of the death qi in the human-demon paradise. Right now, he was like a fish in water in this human-demon paradise with dense death qi. The amount of death qi he could draw out was even more than that of the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wus combined. Dugu-Ao easily dealt with the attacks of the two deity race experts with one palm strike. Reluctance flashed in Mu Xian's eyes, as well as intense conflict. However, in the end, she made up her mind to bring Xiaoqun away. In the end, she was shocked to discover that Xiaoqun, whom she had trapped with her Eros demon secret technique, was not completely paralyzed. He was still resisting her secret technique. If she moved, Xiaoqun would immediately regain his freedom. Her expression involuntarily turned anxious. Xiaoqun, just come with me. Mu Xian was so anxious that she nearly cried. Xiaoqun did not move. He could not speak, but his consciousness was clear. With Dugu-Ao's current state, he could indeed block 12 half-step Emperor Wu. However, it would not be easy. Once this state disappeared, only death awaited Dugu-Ao. He couldn't leave. He couldn't watch his friend die for him. High up in the sky changed color, winds blew, and clouds churned. Although the berserk Dugu-Ao was in a somewhat sorry state, he could fight 1 against 12, truly blocking all the half-step Emperor Wu. With a raise of his hand, most of the human-demon paradise would tremble, filling the sky above the human-demon paradise with surging black clouds. The cultivators watching from afar were all stunned. They had long known that Dugu-Ao had not used his blood demon innate talent and cultivated the quintessence of the human race. However, Xiaoqun had not expected Dugu-Ao to be so ridiculously strong after he used the blood demon's innate talent and went berserk. Dugu-Ao laughed loudly, completely ignoring his injuries as he fought against the 12 half-step Emperor Wu. He was like a helpless ruffian. As long as anyone dared to go down, he would pester them, not caring about anything else. Dugu-Ao casually glanced around and saw that Xiaoqun had not left yet. He could not help crying out hoarsely, "Go! What are you still standing there for?" While Dugu-Ao was distracted, the two ghost race half-step Emperor Wu found an opportunity to attack him, one from the front and one from the back. When experts exchanged moves, how could they allow themselves to be distracted? This was especially so for the ridiculously strong half-step Emperor Wu. "You are seeking death!" Dugu-Ao roared. His figure flickered like a phantom as he sent 2 palm strikes back, causing the two ghost race cultivators to vomit blood and retreat. Just as Dugu-Ao wanted to follow up with another attack, the other half-step Emperor Wu charged over. Both sides immediately fell into a stalemate again. However, Dugu-Ao had something holding him back. Occasionally, he turned his head back to look. When he saw that Xiaoqun still had not left, he could not help reminding him. "Go!" Dugu-Ao cried out hoarsely. Every time he cried out, someone would take the opportunity to severely injure him, causing him to vomit large mouthfuls of blood. His miserable state was very frightening. However, Dugu-Ao did not stop. As long as he found an opportunity in the frenzied battle, he would cry out, his cries echoing in the sky. "Go! Go! Go!" The word "go" reverberated throughout the entire human-demon paradise, sounding sorrowful and sorrowful. Everyone's expressions changed. However, could Xiaoqun really leave? Could he leave? Of course not. The words "go, go, go" were like thunder, each word stained with blood. How could he leave in peace? Xiao Chen's body, which had been paralyzed by Mu Xinya, trembled slightly. His hands, which hung by his side, trembled endlessly. In such a difficult situation, he clenched them into fists. Xiao Chen's eyes looked like they were about to bleed. Every word that Dugu Ao said, "Go," was like a knife deeply carved into Xiao Chen's heart. Mu Xian, who was behind, bit her lip. Fragrant sweat covered her forehead. She felt that she could no longer control Xiao Chen. This made her feel very surprised. The succubus race's secret technique was the innate ability of succubi. Normally, when it was used by surprise, it would cause the succubus race to lose all of its strength. Normally, when it was executed unexpectedly, even someone as strong as the half-step Emperor Wu would find it hard to struggle free. As time went by, he would slowly fall asleep. This was not an offensive martial technique. It was just an innate ability of the Eros demons. Its main purpose was to put people into a deep sleep so that they could harvest their energy. This allowed the energy of the target to be harvested to be drained unknowingly while they were asleep. Naturally, Mu Xian did not want to harvest Xiao Chen right now. She just wanted Xiao Chen to fall asleep so she could bring him away from this place, not letting down Dugu Ao's efforts. However, the reality was somewhat unexpected. Xiao Chen's willpower was unexpectedly strong. Not only did he not fall asleep, but he even struggled even more intensely, showing signs of breaking free at any moment. This placed even more pressure on Mu Xian. If this continued, Xiao Chen would really break free. At that time, Dugu Ao would be risking his life, wasting the opportunity that he obtained. Tears flickered in Mu Xian's eyes as she started crying anxiously. At this moment, she felt extreme regret. If she had not gotten Dugu Ao to help her obtain the mutated demonic essence core, none of this would have happened. In such an anxious situation, a certain mysterious red-clad man hidden in the darkness calmly analyzed the situation for a while before giving up on making a move. The battle in the sky leaned more and more in favor of the 12 half-step Emperor Wus. In the end, it was still too much to fight 1 against 12. If not for the dense demonic chi in this human-demon paradise, Dugu Ao would have gained the upper hand. Even if he executed the blood demon transformation, the innate ability of the blood demon race, he would not be able to last for so long. Most importantly, the duration of the blood demon transformation seemed to be about to end. When Xiao Chen saw this, his heart bled. This was the thing that he feared the most in his life. There were some things that he could have saved but ended up regretting for some reason. For example, if Xiao Chen could struggle free of Mu Xian's control, Dugu Ao would not die. Back then, when Ao Jiao blocked the lightning tribulation for him, Xiao Chen swore that he would not let something like that happen to him again. He did not want to experience that kind of regret and heart-wrenching pain again. Right now, Xiao Chen did not blame Mu Xian. Everyone had their own perseverance. In Mu Xian's world, Dugu Ao's words were the only thing that mattered. Even if Dugu Ao asked her to die, she would not hesitate to do so. Endure. Don't die. Please don't die. As Xiao Chen watched Dugu Ao continue to resist, he did his best to struggle free. Veins bulged on his tightly clenched fists, and sweat continuously dripped down his forehead. Xiao Chen slowly regained control of his body, slowly expelling Mu Xian's pink energy from his body. After a long time, Xiao Chen also found a way to deal with this pink energy. After executing it, it slowly took effect. Boom! Suddenly, Dugu Ao's aura plummeted. The duration of the blood demon transformation came to an end. Bastard, go and die. After being delayed for so long by Dugu Ao and injuring several half-step Emperor Wu, Dugu Ao would not be able to vent the hatred in his heart if he did not kill him. Seeing that Dugu Ao could no longer maintain the blood demon transformation and that his prestige had dropped significantly, the rage that the 12 half-step martial emperors had been suppressing for a long time erupted at the same time. Their figures flashed as they charged at Dugu Ao. Dugu Ao coughed endlessly, and blood flowed continuously. As he watched the 12 half-step blue-robed emperors charge at him, his consciousness slowly turned hazy. Before Dugu Ao fainted, he turned his head back and saw that Xiao Chen had not left yet. He wanted to shout one more time, one last time. However, Duguao's throat was already hoarse from all the shouting. This time he simply could not do it. He opened his mouth and silently shouted in his heart, "Go." Then he closed his eyes and lost consciousness. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. No! The instant Duguao closed his eyes, a clear opening appeared in Mu Xian's mental state. Xiao Chen, who was about to struggle free in the first place, roared ferociously and shot forward. Just as the 12 half-step Emperor Wus were about to reach Duguao, Xiao Chen shouted, "Die!" Without even thinking, Duguao took out the trump card he had been saving, the golden plume feather. This golden plume feather, which could kill Emperor Wu, released a dazzling light the instant it burned. It was as dazzling as the sun, so bright that no one dared to open their eyes. At that moment, the light of this golden plume feather covered the entire human-demon paradise. Sensing a dangerous aura, the expressions of the 12 half-step Emperor Wus changed. When they clearly saw the golden plume feather, they were all startled. Originally, these half-step Emperor Wus were charging forward, wanting to deal a fatal blow to Duguao, whose fate was unknown. However, when they saw the golden plume feather, they frantically retreated. However, it was already too late. No matter how fast the few people at the front retreated, they could not dodge it completely. Miserable cries rang out. When the light swept past the 4 human experts at the front, they turned into ashes, dying without a complete corpse. The others who were caught in the shockwave all suffered injuries that were neither light nor severe. At the very least, there were still 6 half-step Emperor Wus who could hold their own. Even if Xiao Chen were not injured, he would not be a match for them. Furthermore, he was currently riddled with internal injuries. After Xiao Chen analyzed the situation rationally, he supported the unconscious Duguao and looked coldly at the half-step Emperor Wus. Then he quickly returned to Mu Xian's side. "Let's go." Before Xiao Chen could explain to Mu Xian in detail, he carried Duguao with one hand and Mu Xian with the other as he quickly headed to the back. Chapter 12:18. Why did Xiao Chen not head for the exit? There were too many demon mixed blood experts there, watching quietly. Given Xiao Chen's current state, if these demon mixed blood cultivators became greedy, they would just be walking into a trap. They could only head deeper into the human-demon sea. This is the moment I was waiting for. However, just at this moment, the mysterious red-clad man, who had been quietly waiting for an opportunity, saw Xiao Chen toss out his final trump card. The instant Xiao Chen landed, he suddenly made his move. That red-clad man's body turned into a stream of scarlet liquid and continuously elongated. Then he turned into a thin red beam of light and shot toward Xiao Chen's chest at lightning speed. How fast? The expression of Xiao Chen, who was carrying Duguao and Mu Xian, changed drastically. Shock flashed in his heart. His thoughts raced as he quickly tried to think of a countermeasure. However, he helplessly discovered that in his current state, he could not dodge the scarlet beam of light that shot towards him. This person was like the coldest venomous snake in the world, hiding in the darkness. As long as his prey showed an opening, he would immediately make his move, killing him in one strike. Damn it! Am I going to die in the end? Xiao Chen, who had no trump cards left, felt despair in his heart as he looked at that strange and mysterious martial technique. What a coincidence! I was waiting for this moment as well. He will not die at your hands. Just as that red beam of light was about to pierce Xiao Chen's chest and suck away Xiao Chen's blood, a figure suddenly appeared. It was like this figure had been waiting for a long time. Light and darkness, 2 different colors, met in the air and formed a youth with a sword on his back and a faint smile on his face. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the young swordsman withdrew his smile and attacked coldly, quickly drawing the sword on his back. Xiao! The sword light flickered, and the sword intent was startling. The young swordsman held his sword horizontally in front of his chest with both hands, using the blade of his sword to block that strange red beam of light. There was a loud bang as if something had hit the stone floor. Blood lines continued to accumulate, forming a figure once more. The figure howled in pain as it was knocked back. The red-clothed youth clutched his head with his right hand. His sure-kill attack had been blocked. He glared at the person who had come and shouted, "Chu Chaoyun, how dare you spoil my plans?" After surviving the calamity, Xiao Chen's face was filled with astonishment. This time, it was really an accident. He wasn't surprised that the three great supreme beings had sent people to stir up trouble. However, he hadn't expected that they would put in so much effort. However, the appearance of Chu Chaoyun was completely unexpected. No matter how hard Xiao Chen racked his brains, he would never have imagined that this person would appear. With just a glance, one could tell that the mysterious man in red was a powerful figure from the Abyss Devil race. Thinking about it carefully, it was reasonable for the Abyss Devil race's expert to appear here. Back then, the Qing Emperor could single-handedly drive back the 18 demon emperors. Even the Netherworld hierarch was injured by the Qing Emperor. Xiao Chen led the Dragon's Gate's war venerate into and out of the deep abyss demonic world several times, killing several demon race experts and being unrivaled for an era. It would be strange if such a person did not inspire fear in the other party. It made perfect sense for the other party to send someone to stop Xiao Chen from becoming the second Qing Emperor. Only Chu Chaoyun, a person who was both friend and foe, an unfathomable character, appeared here. Xiao Chen was not surprised at all. Why exactly did he appear here? Furthermore, he even helped Xiao Chen block this sure-kill attack. Before Xiao Chen could continue thinking, the many half-step Emperor Wu, who were knocked back by the golden plume feather, recovered their strength and regrouped, charging at him. Xiao Chen pushed off the ground, and a heavy murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Then he led Mu Xian and Dugu Ao towards the depths of the human-demon paradise. After him, of the 6 half-step Emperor Wu from the 3 Holy Masters' land, 4 died. The losses were extremely heavy. The remaining 2 roared ferociously and led the remaining people in the direction that Xiao Chen fled. Chu Chaoyun, who was facing off with the red-clad blood demon, looked back and a large golden flame shot out from his eyes, blocking the path of the group of people. The moment the golden flame appeared, it burned space. It was like a great desolate ferocious beast opening its mouth and slowly swallowing everything. Soon, it swallowed up most of the space, looking extremely horrifying. Heavenly flame. The pursuing half-step Emperor Wu were startled and quickly retreated. However, halfway back, they suddenly discovered that something was wrong. They reacted and said, "That's not right. This is not a complete heavenly flame." This was indeed not a complete heavenly flame, as it did not contain the heavenly flame's origin flame. Although this heavenly flame was strong, it was just a facade. As long as the half-step Emperor Wu used law energy, they could protect their physical bodies and charge through this horrifying heavenly flame. This was the best time to pursue Xiao Chen and Dugu Ao's group without wasting their time. The group of half-step Emperor Wu glared at Chu Chaoyun, their eyes brimming with murderous intent and rage. However, when they saw the person facing off with Chu Chaoyun, the expressions of the remaining 8 half-step Emperor Wus changed involuntarily. A high-ranked blood demon. That mysterious red-clad man clearly had the aura of a high-ranked blood demon. Furthermore, he did not have the aura of any other race. He was a genuine expert of the devil race, not a mixed blood. Strange. Why would there be a high-ranking devil race in this place? Doubts gathered in everyone's hearts. This group of high-ranking devils should most likely appear in the star battlefield. As Chu Chaoyun looked at this group of half-step Emperor Wu with mountainous auras and overflowing killing chi, he smiled faintly and said indifferently, "Why aren't you giving chase? If we don't give chase now, we won't be able to catch up to him." The group of half-step Emperor Wu seemed to wake up from a dream. Only now did they remember that the main purpose of this trip was to pursue Xiao Chen and prevent him from obtaining the flower of life. Rather than staying here and dawdling with some irrelevant people, as for why the devil experts would appear here, it was not something they needed to worry about. "You fellow, I'll deal with you later." After glaring at Chu Chaoyun, the many half-step Emperor Wu soared into the air and gave chase in the direction that Xiao Chen had gone. "Chu Chaoyun, do you really think that I do not dare to make a move on you?" the half-step Emperor Wu asked coldly when he saw that Chu Chaoyun dared to split his attention to block Xiao Chen. The red-clad man asked coldly, feeling looked down on. Chu Chaoyun slowly sheathed the sword in his hand. Then he smiled humbly and said, "Naturally, I do not dare." "Don't give me that." The red-clad man said, "I am here on the orders of the Night Blood Demon Monarch to kill the Qing Emperor's descendant. Why are you blocking me? Are you trying to oppose the Demon Monarch?" Chu Chaoyun bowed slightly. Despite the red-clad man's overbearing words, he remained as calm as still water. He said indifferently, "I do not dare. I am only here to tell you that you have a new mission. We need to depart immediately." The red-clad man smiled coldly and said, "Do you think I'm a fool? Do you think I don't know better than you whether I have a mission or not? In the 18 realms of the deep abyss, only the Night Blood Demon Monarch can order me around and give me missions. My current mission is to kill the Qing Emperor's descendant. Anyone who blocks me will be disrespecting the Demon Monarch and will have to die." As the red-clad man spoke, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He took a step forward and pressed forward. "Break one of your arms first, and I will pretend this never happened. Otherwise, when the Night Blood Demon Monarch finds out, you will not survive even if you have 9 lives." Chu Chaoyun remained unmoved. Just as the red-clad man was about to fly into a rage, a deep and cold black medallion suddenly appeared in Chu Chaoyun's hand. The Netherworld Medallion. When the overbearing red-clad man saw this medallion, he turned pale with fright. He was in some disbelief and no longer had his earlier overbearing attitude. The Netherworld Medallion. Anyone who could hold the Netherworld Medallion had to be here on orders from the Dark Church's highest echelon. They were special envoys that even the Demon Monarch would be able to obtain. "Greetings, Lord Special Envoy." The red-clad man bowed as a look of dissatisfaction flashed in his eyes. Chu Chaoyun narrowed his eyes slightly and smiled faintly. "You are too polite. However, Yi Wuxin, you should be greeting Special Envoy Chaoyun and not just Lord Special Envoy." The red-clad man, Yi Wuxin, suppressed the rage in his heart and said, "Yes, Yi Wuxin greets Special Envoy Chaoyun." "You are too polite." Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and continued, "Yi Wuxin, heed my orders. I order you to rush to the astral battlefield and suppress the rise of Di Wuk and the other Kunlun continent's younger generation." When Yi Wuxin heard this, he was greatly startled. "You must be joking. Do the so-called outstanding talents of the Kunlun continent need to mobilize the demon race geniuses with king-grade bloodlines?" Chu Chaoyun's tone remained calm and unhurried. He said, "This is your mission. Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. You have the Netherworld Medallion, so I'll believe you for now. However, if I find out that you lied to me, I will definitely not spare you." Although he was unwilling to leave just like that, Chu Chaoyun had come with the Netherworld token, so he had no choice but to rush to the starry sky battlefield immediately. "Not at all. No matter how daring I am, I wouldn't dare to joke around with the Netherworld token," Chu Chaoyun said softly with a sincere look on his face. Yi Wuxin also guessed that Chu Chaoyun did not have such guts. After letting out a cold snort, he turned into a bloody light and bounced around, disappearing in front of Chu Chaoyun in the blink of an eye. Chu Chaoyun watched the other party leave and muttered, "A demon with a royal bloodline is indeed difficult to deal with. With this speed, I'm afraid there aren't many in the same generation who can catch up to him." But his brain is still a little lacking. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and brought the Netherworld Medallion to his lips. He gently blew on it, and the so-called Netherworld Medallion, which caused Yi Wuxin to tremble in fear, immediately turned into a pile of ashes and scattered with the wind. If Yi Wuxin were here and knew that Chu Chaoyun tricked him into leaving obediently and even bowing to him, he would probably be so angry that he would vomit blood. On this side, Chu Chaoyun helped Xiao Chen get rid of a strong enemy with just a few words. On the other side, a team of 8 half-step Emperor Wu chased after Xiao Chen wildly. However, after losing the initiative, they lost sight of Xiao Chen in the complicated terrain of the human-demon paradise. They split up several times to search for him, but to no avail. They flew into a rage out of humiliation and wanted to turn back to seek trouble for Chu Chaoyun. However, they discovered that Chu Chaoyun was long gone. Now that both sides were empty, the originally angry Emperor Wu became even more frustrated. "Forget it, let's not chase after him. We'll just wait outside for him." There are still 10 more days before the human-demon paradise closes. When that time comes, the people inside will be forcefully teleported out. The instant he comes out, we'll take him down. There's no need to waste words with him. The masked expert of the 3 holy masters said coldly. Chapter 12:19. Let's do it that way. There is no need to fear him coming out. We absolutely cannot let this fellow advance to Martial Emperor. Otherwise, he will trample on us. Look at his eyes. He looks like he wants to eat us up. The few of them quickly conversed. After reaching a consensus, they quickly came to a unanimous decision. They stood guard outside the stone stele, waiting for the human-demon paradise to close and for Shao Qin to be forcibly sent out. In an unremarkable valley in the depths of the human-demon paradise, Shao Qin laid down a simple illusion formation, concealing his group in this complicated environment. When Shao Qin walked over and saw the injured Duguayou, his expression turned terrifyingly sullen. "How is he?" Shao Qin asked Mu Xian, who was currently treating Duguayou's injuries. Mu Xian shook her head, showing a sorrowful expression. Her voice trembled as she said, "His injuries are too severe. There are too many things. There is no way to treat him. His entire physical body feels like it is completely destroyed." When Shao Qin heard that, his heart sank. On the surface of Duguayou's body, he could no longer see any part of it that was intact. Unexpectedly, Duguayou's internal injuries were even more severe than these horrifying external injuries. "Let me take a look." Walking over, Shao Qin used the pulse reading method from the Compendium of Cultivation to check Duguayou's injuries. Moving his spiritual sense, Shao Qin saw that Duguayou's internal organs were nearly all shattered, wriggling like a pile of meat paste. This made one feel sad for some reason. Shao Qin finally understood why Mu Xian said that there was no way to treat Duguayou. Aside from these internal injuries, Duguayou's meridians were all ruptured and clogged up, preventing him from circulating his law energy. If not for a mysterious energy in Duguayou's bloodline slowly healing his injuries, Duguayou would have died long ago. However, the unconscious Duguayou instinctively resisted the awakening of that mysterious energy. Shao Qian's heart skipped a beat. He somewhat understood. If this mysterious energy completely occupied Duguayou's body, it would not be able to do anything to him. After this mysterious energy completely occupied Duguayou's body, Duguayou could only cultivate demonic qi and survive in this world as a blood demon, living a life that he disliked the most. His instincts made him resist the mysterious powers healing even when he was unconscious. However, if Duguayou continued resisting like this, when his life force completely disappeared, there would be no hope for him. If Shao Qin had to choose, he would rather let Duguayou become a demon with a single thought. Perhaps he might be able to find a way to salvage the situation in the future. Shao Qin let go and remained silent for a long time. The scene of Duguayou facing the 12 half-step Emperor Wu's shouting kept replaying in his mind. 12 half-step martial emperors surrounded Duguayou, but he could only watch helplessly. He would never forget this humiliation for the rest of his life. "Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!" The sound of blood lingering in Duguayou's ears rang out. With every word, the 12 half-step Emperor Wu seized an opportunity to severely injure Duguayou. However, Duguayou did not forget. Even after the blood demon transformation disappeared, he still called out for Shao Qin to leave. Shao Qin thought to himself, if not for Duguayou still thinking about me, his injuries might not be as severe as they are now. Guilt, self-blame, murderous intent, and all sorts of other emotions filled Shao Qin's heart. At this moment, Shao Qin craved power. There had never been a moment where he craved power so much. There had never been a moment where he wanted to kill some people so much. Shao Qin opened the entrance to the immortal spirit ring and let Ao Jiao out. Then he begged, "Little Ao Jiao, don't let him die. No matter what, don't let him die. I beg of you." When Ao Jiao came out, she wanted to throw a tantrum. However, when she saw Shao Qin's eyes filled with complicated emotions, her heart ached for some reason. Even back then, on his path to martial emperor, Shao Qin had not suffered as much as Shao Qin. It could even be said that since ancient times, there had never been an outstanding talent who had walked the path to martial emperor as arduously as Shao Chen. "I'll do my best," Ao Jiao said softly. With Ao Jiao's help, even if Dugu Ao could not wake up immediately, she should be able to stop the loss of life force. With a flip of his hand, the flower of life and the death fruit appeared in Shao Chen's palm at the same time. The moment the life aura and the death aura appeared, they started fighting each other. Two clumps of energy, one black and one white, appeared on Shao Chen's palm, clashing with each other. When Ao Jiao saw this scene, she was mildly startled. She said, "You choose to break through now? That is too short." The human demon paradise would only be open for 10 days. After 10 days, everyone would be forcefully sent out. If Shao Chen's process of condensing the heart of an emperor was interrupted, he would definitely fail. Killing him was the only way to advance to martial emperor in 5 years. 10 days was too risky. Ao Jiao shook her head and said, "Shao Chen, don't be rash." Determination appeared in Shao Chen's eyes as he said calmly, "I'm not being rash. Actually, this is my last chance. Even if I recover from my injuries, I still will not stand a chance against the 8 half-step Emperor Wus waiting outside 10 days from now. Only by condensing the heart of an emperor and becoming a consummation blue-robed emperor can I have a chance of defeating them. The slightest mistake on the path to martial emperor will result in eternal damnation. If possible, I would not want to take such a risk. However, these people are forcing me. I already have no way out. I cannot live under the same sky as them. I am willing to pay the price of failing to advance to martial emperor to bet the lives of this group of people. Either they die or I die." The images of the remaining 8 half-step Emperor Wus appeared in Shao Chen's mind. A heavy murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Right after Shao Chen spoke, he stopped hesitating and directly swallowed the flower of life and death fruit. Shao Chen hovered in midair and sat down cross-legged. Then he quickly circulated the life and death art, which he could already recite backward. An intense life aura and a heavy death aura were like two vast armies fighting an intense battle in Shao Chen's body. They fought for dominance. No one liked the other. The constant conflict caused Shao Chen immense pain. He wanted to vomit blood and give up. Shao Chen maintained his last bit of clarity and used the life and death art to do his best to tame these two extremely vast energies. Only by perfectly taming and exhausting these two energies could the life and death art evolve layer by layer until it underwent a complete transformation, allowing Shao Chen to condense the heart of an emperor that only Emperor Wus possessed. Mysterious phenomena appeared in the air. One moment, it was hell. The next moment, it was heaven on earth. The changes were unfathomable and incredible. When Ao Jiao saw this, she felt very worried. 10 days was still too short. Outside the stone stele, the 8 half-step Emperor Wus of the various races sat cross-legged, each guarding a corner as they looked coldly at the exit of the human-demon paradise. Every time a demon mixed blood walked out of the exit, they would feel a vast killing intent that could topple mountains and flip the seas. This scared these human-demon sea cultivators into not even daring to breathe loudly. After these human-demon cultivators carefully walked far away, they panted heavily. When they saw the 8 half-step Emperor Wus surging killing chi, they felt a deep fear. With 8 half-step Emperor Wus experts guarding this place, even an expert of the old black iron monsters level would be stunned in an instant. Discussions broke out in the distance. Clearly, news of what happened in the human-demon paradise had already spread. As for the white-robed bladesman being able to escape from the attacks of 12 half-step Emperor Wu's half-step Emperor Wu, they were all astonished. Dugu Ao's crazed action at the last moment also influenced countless people. To be able to make a friend like Dugu Ao was truly the white-robed bladesman's fortune. Everyone felt some envy in their hearts. In this world where human relationships were as thin as water, if one wanted to have an ordinary friend, one would need to have some mutual benefits. However, at the last moment, Dugu Ao gave up on his chance to escape and stepped forward bravely, using his life to help Shao Chen obtain a chance. Unfortunately, given the current situation, no matter how hard the two worked in the human-demon paradise, they would not be able to escape. When the 10 days passed and the two were forcibly sent out, they would still face the combined attacks of 8 half-step Emperor Wu's half-step Emperor Wu. Time passed day by day. The day of the human demon paradise's closing drew closer, like a countdown to death. Many cultivators gathered outside the ancient stone stele, waiting for the final scene. The opening of the human demon paradise was full of twists and turns. There were many unexpected surprises that no one could have expected. The strong appearance of the 12 half-step Emperor Wu's foreign half-step Emperor Wu completely disrupted the rules of the human demon paradise, forcing many people to leave early. As a result, there were still 3 days before the human demon paradise closed, but most of the people had already left. The reason was none other than the fact that no one wanted to be killed by mistake at the last moment. In the past few days, several demon mixed-blood cultivators had died at the hands of the 8 half-step Emperor Wu's half-step Emperor Wu. Perhaps it was because they were killed by mistake, or perhaps it was because they were in a bad mood and wanted to vent, causing everyone to feel anxious. However, no one dared to say anything. Logically speaking, the 8 half-step Emperor Wus were far from being able to suppress all the cultivators here. However, they had the primes behind them, giving them the capital to do whatever they wanted in the human demon sea without any worries. In a desolate valley in the human demon paradise, Xiao Chen was anxiously making a breakthrough. One was black, one was white. Life Qi and Death Qi mixed together. At the very beginning, they had already started to merge together. However, they were still far from reaching a complete equilibrium. In the air, there were 4 rings of light of different colors behind Xiao Chen. Each ring of light had a different mysterious phenomenon in it. The 4 rings of light meant that Xiao Chen had already broken through to the 4th layer of the life and death art. There were still 3 more layers. As long as he could successfully break through, he would be able to condense a heart of an emperor in one go and advance to consummation blue-robed emperor. However, the latter 3 layers were each more dangerous than the one before. Every time Xiao Chen made a breakthrough, he would be at the gates of hell. Kasi. Suddenly, cracks appeared in the 4 rings of light behind Xiao Chen. The life and death qi in Xiao Chen's body went out of control. It was like a wild horse that had broken free of its reins, running amok in Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen's face turned sinister and horrifying at one moment, like a black-faced evil spirit from hell. Then it turned frighteningly pale, looking like he had died. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.